free dancing. I found the person I've been dying to meet. So cheers to dancing with your two left feet.
So join me, baby, let's have a night to remember. 'Cause I just want to be young forever. So join me, baby, let's have a night to remember. 'Cause I just want to be young forever.
Dance floor's waiting, go and get a taste. Take off the edge, go ahead, get loose. It's there for the taking, you got nothing to lose. The DJ's done, but I've only just started. You stole my heart with your curvy dancing. I found the person I've been dying to meet. So cheers to dancing with your two left feet.
So join me, babe, let's have a night to remember. 'Cause I just want to be young forever. So join me, babe, let's have a night to remember. 'Cause I just want to be young forever.
hard to believe that we made it this far. We were born in a dream, we've been lost out at sea, but together we are unbreakable. Called you up in the early morning light, 'cause something didn't sit right. I didn't wanna lie about it, but I stayed out after midnight. I said, I'm sorry, love, I don't ever wanna fight. Said I didn't mean to lose sight of everything you've done here for me, and I wanna share a good life. Join at the
Africa TV, Pre-Go Studio Live 2020 GSL Season 3 Korea's Last Stand.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another day here of the GSL Codes. This is the second half of the round of 8. I'm especially excited about our first match. I want to see how Armani is going to do, having now gotten this far.
Can he go further?
Can he go further?
Maybe.
And, of course, Maru versus Trap. That's just going to be a good series. I think Maru probably takes that, but I would welcome a Trap win as well.
Yeah, that one's really hard to predict. I think it's, yeah. I honestly can't even predict. I have no idea who's going to win that. I think that they're pretty evenly matched, but they're teammates. They know each other play. Should be difficult to read why they're doing certain things because of that.
Yeah, for sure. So we've been trucking through this GSL and ASL. It's been 2 very busy months of StarCraft 1 and 2. Do be sure to join us on our sister tournament, the ASL, which is also on Sundays and Tuesdays, 7 p.m. KST. We already have TY versus Stats in one half of the round of 4. That's going to be a great match as well. And here's our lineup for today.
2 of these players will be in the round of 4 as well. You know, one of my favorite developing storylines from this tournament, by the way, Tasteless, is that Zest could end up being the winningest Protoss. Well, I guess he already is tied for it, but
yeah,
you can't look at the bracket and who's remaining and tell me that Zest has no chance to win this tournament, because he absolutely has a chance.
He's looking very good, too, lately. Again, Armani is a player that in the past was basically around at 24, maybe on his best day around of 16 player, but here he is in the round of 8. We have a quick interview.
Before we get into the round of 8 day 2 match, we're going to have a pre-game interview with the 2 players. And these 2 players are extremely nervous ahead of today's match. Armani has achieved his first ever round of 8, and Zest has moved on to this round of 8 in 1 year. Hello. Hello.
네, 먼저 박진혁 선수입니다.
So Armani,
GSL 시작한 지 6년 만에
it's been 6 years since you first started GSL. So, how do you feel?
아직까진 똑같은 것 같아요.
Well, I feel pretty indifferent right now.
말씀이신데요. 지난 수요일 박수호 선수가 탈락함에 따라
Last Wednesday, DRG got eliminated, and that makes you Armani the last Zerg survivor in GSL this season.
사실 다전제 준비가 처음이었잖아요.
So this is your first time playing a best of match. How did you prepare for it?
추석 끝나고 나서부터
Well, after the Korean Thanksgiving Day,
토스전이 좀 힘들거든요.
I found out that the DBP is really hard right now. I'm not whining every time. I think all the Zergs think the same.
그때부터 되게 여러 가지
So since then,
준비해
I
왔는데
try to think a lot about the matchup.
오늘 잘 통했으면 좋겠어요.
So I hopefully today the
토스전이
strategy
너무
works
힘들다.
out.
참 안타까운 소식입니다. 자, 다음 주성우 선수
Right,
바로
Zest.
만나볼게요. 자, 주성우 선수 2020년 시즌 1, 2 모두
In 2020, you were allocated in the group of death season 1, season 2.
새 시즌 만에
So you're
돌아오셨는데
back
소감 어떠세요?
after 3 seasons. How do you feel?
새 시즌 만에 오긴 했는데
Well, I'm back after 3 seasons.
8강이란
Yes.
그게 별로 감흥이 없는 게 관중이 없어가지고.
But I feel pretty indifferent about this round of 8 because there's no crowd.
저희도 하루빨리 관중분들을 만나는
Hopefully
날이
we have a crowd
왔으면
soon too.
좋겠습니다.
Yes.
오늘 상대가 생애 첫 8강이다 보니까
And your opponent this time is
이런 평가가 있는
Armani is in his first round of 8, so
아무래도
I guess he's an easy opponent, right, Zest?
라인업 중에 제일 좀 할만한 건.
Yes, he is probably the easiest opponent in the round of 8. That is true.
좀 좋아가지고.
And I do have a very good record against him. So I think
상대 전적
today
알고
looks good
계시네요.
for me.
항상 자신감이 있으셨나 봐요.
So are you confident today?
최근에 알았는데 잘 몰랐는데 자주 이긴다는 거 알고.
Well, I recently found out that I beat him quite a lot in the past.
네.
So I do have confidence.
온라인과 오프라인 모두 합쳐서 통합 상대 정적이 16대 42. 굉장히 크게 벌어져
You
있습니다.
are ahead 42 to 16 in the total records, including offline and online records.
경우가 많았거든요. 주성우
But in the
선수
round of
어떻게
8,
생각하세요?
statistics doesn't always dictate the dictate the results of the game. So what do you think, Armani?
제일 하고 싶었던 상대였거든요.
So Zest, I actually wanted to verse against him.
상대 전적 진짜 많이 밀리는데.
And I mean, I am very overpowered in terms of records.
쿨타임 돌 때마다 한 번씩 이기거든요.
But I do beat him like every 3 months.
가지고 그 오늘이 이제 다시
So
쿨타임
hopefully today is the day I beat him.
쿨타임이 돌아왔으니 이번에는 내 차례다. 자, 이렇게 양쪽 모두
So we heard
자신감을
both
확인해 볼
players
수가
talking about
있었는데요.
their
자, 피할 수 없는
strategies before the
대결.
game.
마지막으로 서로에게 한마디씩 하도록
Before they
하겠습니다.
move
자,
on
먼저
to the stage,
박진혁 선수.
anything you want to say to each other?
오늘 서로
Armani?
원하는 상대 만났으니까.
I mean, today we
재밌는
met
경기 했으면 좋겠습니다.
the opponent we wanted
네,
to meet.
밀리지
So hopefully
않는
we have a good
분위기인데요.
game today.
주성우 선수.
Zest,
3대 0으로 이기고 빨리 가고 싶어요.
I'm gonna win 3-0 and go home
3대0
quickly.
약속을 해주셨는데요. 자, 과연 그 결과대로 이어질지.
How will the result turn out to be?
선수에 이어서 4강에 오를 세 번째
Which
선수는
one
누가
will be the
될까요?
one
8강 3경기
securing the spot in the round of 4?
Damn. I'm going to win 3-0 and go home quickly.
All right.
Easy, Zest.
Damn. Yeah.
I've seen Zest confident before. I've never seen him that confident.
Fate of the last Zerg hands on Zest's hands. Oh, hangs on Zest's hands. I'm like, what? That's not.
Hands on Zest's hands. That's my dream.
Hands on Zest's
Hands on Zest's hands.
Hands in Zest's
Can I
hands.
just touch your gamer hands, please, Zest?
Is
so-
this your mouse finger? Wow.
Wow. So, look, I like a good underdog story. I think everybody does. This is going to be hard for Armani, but he's kept the ball rolling. A best of 5 is different, right? I mean, there's going to be a lot more planning that obviously you can go into, and Zest has had that practice before. You know, you have weeks to basically do a deep dive into the matchup and all the different ways that your race can be played against your opponent's race on different maps. The ordering, of course, is very important. So this level of planning, and it's not like Armani hasn't played in best of 5s, but not in a GSL, you know, not a tournament like this caliber, I'd say, where he will have this much planning. Most tournaments, and this is what distinguishes our tournament from other tournaments, is that other tournaments where you end up in a best of 5 in a later part, the tournament was an entire weekend.
Yeah.
This is a tournament that takes months to finish. So I'm really interested in seeing how Armani's going to handle this. I do like seeing players that have not succeeded in the past get risen to this level, and it's really fun to see them succeed. But Zest is definitely a tough one to go against, PVZ.
He can be. You know, I was looking at the map vetoes actually before we went live here, and based on the map vetoes, and it kind of feeds into what we think about Zest. I think Armani needs to play a defensive style here. Take a look here, right? Eternal Empire was the veto of Zest, and Golden Wall was the veto of Armani. I think this tells you all you need to know, because Eternal Empire is our longest map. It's the macro map. It's the hardest one to attack people on. You get longer late games. So Zest is avoiding that. And Zest is a player who likes timing attacks, so I think Armani needs to be on defense this match.
Game 1's ready. Let's go to death, Aura.
영광의 전투가 펼쳐진다. GSL을 위하여. 전투 지원이 들어왔다. 함께 있다. 우린 더욱 강하다. 아프리카 프린스, 아르마, 박진. Read your edge game, Zest, 주성.
Do you think this is going to be a 3-0? Because I think it might be. I hope it is not, but
no, I don't think it'll be a 3-0. Because I don't think Zest is coming in here thinking about playing long macro games with carriers and things like that. I think he's coming in here with very aggressive plans. Which again, I feel like the map veto kind of tells you that's very likely, and then you just look at the way Zest plays anyways, and you're like, yeah, that makes sense, because he never really aims for late game.
Yeah, he's the mid-game timing Protoss player.
Yeah, he'll just have the sharpest builds that anyone has and try to kill you with them.
I will say, though, you know, unlike, let's say, Parting, where we expect him to do a lot of crazy cheese, but he can play late game very, very well, I feel like Zest late game is maybe not as good.
Sometimes he doesn't have late game mapped out.
Yeah.
There are times where he'll get to late game and he looks very good. And there's times where he'll get to late game and you'll be like, oh, you just don't even know what to do here.
And that can be a symptom of someone who is so thorough at mapping the mid-game and early game that the later part of the game is just sort of, and this is something I had in my play in the past as a competitive player, was I was so caught up in trying to catch them off guard or do special time attacks. If you put me in an organic late game, it was like much harder for me because I just didn't have it as practiced out. Whereas you look at somebody like Stats, that's all he wants to do. Stats is actually a player who's not, I don't want to say curious, not that invested in trying to crush it in mid-game, other than defense. But I don't consider, you know, defending to be some kind of...
No, you're right.
Please, go ahead.
Well, no, I agree with you very wholeheartedly on that. Let me try to think of the way to say this correctly. I think, in theory, the way that Zest approaches it is better because you are working on early game and mid game. You notice Stats, like, Zest will have a hard time sometimes and just kind of disappear a little bit. Stats, basically when the metagame settles, he rises to the top of the Protoss, right?
Right.
Zest creates the metagame. Because the early game and the mid game, you always play the early game, and then you almost always play the mid game, right? And that's where Zest does most of his hard work. And then the late game is kind of this other thing that can happen if enough things go wrong or enough things go right. But it doesn't always line up into that. So I feel like that's part of the reason that you look at Zest and you're like, oh, okay, this guy is... I mean, he's tied with MC for the most championships in GSLs and Protoss, right? It's him and MC at 2. You know, it's just, there we are.
You know, one thing I was thinking about as well, and I don't think we've really ever talked about this, but, you know, in mentioning that Zest is a player that does timings and has a lot of really strong performance mid-game where he can steer the game to a victory, even though his late game does look a little bit weaker than the other top-tier Protoss is, if you play like Zest and you're good at what you're doing, you don't have to be good at late game. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
If you're playing a time and attack game, late game should be insignificant in a lot of ways because you're not trying to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to sacrifice something. You can't you can't be everything at every point. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is very cool. This is very cool what we're looking at here.
It's gonna be a bunch of Void Rays?
Yeah, this should be a Void Ray build. We haven't seen a Fleet Beacon, so how could it be anything else? But yeah, it looks like he's going very fast 3 Nexus and then 3 Stargate Void Ray. So, I mean, this is not what I expected exactly. Like, I thought it'd be more ground-based stuff because he generally does that. But let's see. And another part of this that I want to see is what does he combo this with? Like, is he going to go Adepts? Is he going to go Charge Lots? Is he going to do one of these mass Void Ray into a mass Gateway?
I think I see what this is. First of all, you got to remember, Zest is more known for using Adepts than any other player in the world, right?
Yeah.
He's coming out here with some Adepts. It looks similar to an early Adept pressure build from Zest. And as Zerg is taking the third, oh, well, hold on. He scouted. He sees it now. I was going to say this could be one of these things where in between tech, suddenly you get caught off guard by the Void Rays. But maybe this is robust enough that if it's scouted, it's still fine.
It's hard to imagine. We had a period in Heart of the Swarm where Void Ray Charge Lot was a real composition against Zerg, but it didn't last for that long. People just got kind of good at hitting critical mass, which is generally how you counter, smaller flying units, non-capital ships. Now, there's a lot of Hydras being made. I think if he stays turtled with Queen Hydra, he should be fine. But the one thing I want to see from Armani here is a Baneling Nest. I think that's crucial because no matter what Zest goes with this, Banelings are going to counter it.
Yeah, well, first of all, the Hydras are already organically counter the Void Rays, as long as you have enough of them. But you're right, there's going to be something to
but if it's Void Ray
this.
Charge Lot or Void Ray Adept, the Hydras will... I mean, the Hydras will be countered at that point.
I hate to be this critical this early in a best-of-5. Zest is a disaster this game. He's lost 3 Adepts. He lost a Void Ray. He is losing too much stuff.
Yeah, a little bit sloppy there. Can't deny.
And now we have Armani eager to open up the center here by destroying these rocks.
By the way, Zest maxes his economy before Armani by a good deal, right? He hit 66 probes pretty quickly, which is perfect 3-base saturation. So he's got his full economy running, and we're hiding that production tab. But is it Charge or is it Glaives, Tasteless? Tell me what you think. Or is it Blink? It could be Blink.
I was thinking Glaives, but maybe it's something else.
It's Charge.
Charge, okay.
Yeah, get out of here, Tasteless. But no, the Charge makes sense to go with it. But again, this is why I mentioned when you see something like this, you have to think a step ahead. No one's going to actually just kill you with 3 Stargate Void Ray. And before you tweet at me that that's going to happen, you're not good, and these pro gamers are. So you should counter the thing that he's going to do with this, you know? So, like, we don't see that from Armani as of yet. And if he runs into, and I mean, even Storm's on the way, but even just a big group of Charge Lots with this are going to make it so that the Hydras don't really, just Charge Lots counter Hydras if Hydras are alone.
Yeah. No, well, what you were mentioning earlier, Artosis, is basically correct, is that you need something to deal with the ground, because Void Rays alone are not going to win the game. They're a threat, and they have to be responded to, but, there's not going to be more and more only air units. So, yeah, Banelings would be a great counter here. Now, both sides are teching up higher and higher here as we go on to 4 bases. Do the Void Rays lend themselves to anything good late game? Because I feel like they usually don't. I mean, it's one of the reasons why we don't see Void Rays as a core unit most of the time.
Well, I mean, right now I can see that my prediction for this was completely off. I thought when I thought of his style and then what he vetoed that he wouldn't be going for late game macro, but it looks like what he's doing is what you just asked, where Zest is aiming towards carrier right now.
Yeah, no,
so this was a transition. Like
I thought this was going to be a timing attack for sure.
Yeah, it certainly looked like that, but his economy is absolutely murdering it. So a terrible call from me on jumping to that conclusion that he was going to be going for only timings. But I mean, this is a great counter to what Armani is doing right now as well, right? If your opponent is just turtling against you when you're going for this comp, if he goes into carriers, I mean, carriers are going to, with Psystorm especially, are going to smack Hydra Lurker. It's just, it's not even going to be close.
Psystorm coming down here. And yeah, this is going to be Zest playing into the supreme late game here. Carriers, you need to build up a certain number of them to have pressure, and I wonder if he's going to try to exploit the edges of the map here with the carriers. Now, one thing about carriers as well is that they're not mobile units. They're kind of like brood lords, right? They're hard to confront head on, but you can try to attack where they are not. And this could look like some of the, in the past, late game Zerg games where the Zerg has a bunch of brood lords, maybe infestors under it, and the other race is trying to hit the sides where that army's not, in kind of this yin and yang of offense and defense.
Yeah.
So,
well, it kind of looks like the way that this is going, it'll probably be Mass Viper trying to counter this. But feedback is reasonable against Viper now. You know, it's not what it once was, but it's very strong. You can actually prevent it from occurring. So this feels like it's going to be a very turtled, very prolonged game. Now, that being said, the Mothership is coming in. One of the moves that I've really appreciated lately are some of these Mothership recall, you know, based attacks. So maybe we can see something like that, although I'm not like thinking that he's going to do that, but that is a possibility of something we could see here.
yeah, I think that's a really good point. We should definitely watch for that. I think that's very well could be what's happening here. On the Zerg side of things, what do you think about the Lurkers coming down here?
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting to Supreme late game, Lurkers are just like, okay, the best Zerg unit late game is the Viper. After that, isn't it the Lurker? Like in every matchup in the Supreme late game, it's just like, and the thing is, it works perfectly with the Viper because the Lurkers are entrenched, you know, with other stuff, whether that be Hydra, Spore, whatever, and then you just pull stuff into them.
But this appears to be a pure air army. I guess he doesn't need to overmake Lurkers, but it seems like the way you'd want to play against this, as long as you can avoid Psystorm, is just harpoon air unit after air unit with the Viper, and then have the Hydra shoot it down, and try to not eat too many storms. I mean, if you are playing well enough, Hydras don't just disappear under Psystorm. They can be they can run away, and of course Hydras do heal over time.
Well, the Lurkers will help to zone that out a little bit. You know, it's hard to get the High Templars to actually hit where you want when the Lurkers are there with their outstanding range. So I think it's a reasonable zoning tool here. You know, we used to have Brood Lords doing that job, but the Lurkers do it better nowadays. I mean, getting all the upgrades right now, and I think it is important when you get into this type of situation as a Zerg player to get all the upgrades for everything. And we see, specifically what I wanted to talk about was the Ultros Cavern, which we see him getting now. We saw that the other day, where you can get into these spots where actually making some Ultras to clear High Templars under the carriers because of their high armor against the damage from Interceptors can be really good. So just preparing stuff like that, I think, is really good.
When you see a bunch of Void Rays picked up like this, one thing I wonder is how much do the Void Rays matter anymore now that we have enough carriers out here? It seems like first of all, in order to get carriers, you have to have enough Stargates, but then you need to at least do something with the Stargates that's going to allow you to exist in the game and not just be attacked and killed. But even though we saw those Void Rays picked off, it seems to me like that's somewhat inconsequential to where this game is at now. In fact, on some level, it might be worth it to lose some of the Void Rays and stock up on the supply with that. So here's that play you were talking about. He's going to draw attention to the right side of the map, but there's going to be a Mothership flying into the main, and although there's spores all over this northern area up here, if he gets into the main, there's really not much to defend. But we have 3 spores there. That's basically no spores.
This is fantastic. Like, he's brought all of the attention to the right side of the map, and here we go. He's actually going to recall.
I'm kind of surprised by this.
Yeah, maybe not the best exact location.
Yeah, that's a lot of spores to fight. Now the Corruptors are going to come in here with the Hydras, but is this enough here? Harpoons the Mothership core. Mothership, excuse me. It goes down.
Yeah, he's going to recall everything back.
That was, I think, a poor decision. That not too recall there, but that specific area. Recalling the main would have made more sense.
If he had recalled in the main, he might have won the game with the move. Instead, he recalled on top of Lurkers and had to spend every storm right away. The Archons were being eaten up, so the Corruptors counter everything at that point.
Yeah,
but the Mothership doesn't detect. So he may have looked at that and been like, okay, I want to kill this base really badly. But then there's like 4 or 5 Lurkers there, right? He brought all the attention of Armani to the right side of the map. Maybe he thought there were no Lurkers over there.
Yeah, but that seems foolish. Because, I mean, going to the main, you're guaranteed to not have Lurkers there.
That's a very good point. I definitely agree with that.
You're guaranteed to not lose the Archon. So I don't know about
definitely agree with that
call.
Assessment.
And by the way, that's sort of like you got one shot to make that move work. You can't make another mothership and then try to fly in the main again here. At least I would imagine.
Well, we're going to see because he's making another mothership.
He's making one, but I mean, by now the Zerg has to be ready, right? I mean, one thing about spores is there is no cap on how many buildings you can make in the game, unlike units that cost supplies. So he can make more drones, make more spores, and then what?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Well, we'll see if that's what he wants to end up doing. I mean, Armani is getting into this type of comp that's so hard to attack into that Zest has to start getting creative in a lot of ways.
He's actually throwing probes away here, and zealots as well, as he just doesn't need the supply in this anymore. These units don't have any real equity.
Yeah, like he's trading 12 zealots to kill 2 spines or something there. Not exactly optimal. Does lose that Nexus. Still kind of just running around. The thing is, we don't see a plan from Zest on how to attack. Again, I do think you need to add Tempests into this army for a frontal attack. If you want to try things at the fringes, then Tempests are not the way, right? Tempests are like straight up a pushing unit where you can tag their flying units and then hit them from a distance, but also eliminate spores very efficiently.
Right.
So the fact that he's making more Void Rays kind of points us towards the fact that he doesn't want to do a frontal push through all the stuff that we see here.
Now, in this moment, oh, is he actually going to be able to snipe this? I think there's too many spores. This is one of the funny things about carriers is if there's enough hitting the air, the interceptors,
they can be killed.
Yeah, they can be killed off, and then you have to go back and remake. They've got a lot of DTs being made here for Archons.
Well, Zest taking yet another base.
Again, every time you see something like that killed off, the Zerg isn't really trading anything off there.
Yeah, you know, this portion of the game can be really difficult and taxing on both sides. There's like, I guess there's like some rules of thumb and stuff on ways to handle these types of situations. Wow, that attack really did a lot. Oh my god.
Yeah, well, this is what happens when you go for carriers.
Yeah.
Is that you have one area in which you're untouchable and the rest it's quite hard to do. Now that Nexus up there, that's funny.
That's a recall.
That's for recall,
Nexus.
yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I really like that type of move. But you see this type of thing going on. This is a problem. I feel like Zest would be best served having multiple oracles and focusing a lot of his attention on keeping the army tagged while he moves. Because, right, I'm seeing these moves over and over where there's like, all right, here's 1,500 minerals of zealots running around, and they literally don't do anything, right? Like, they're bringing a little bit of attention away, and they're killing less than their value in buildings a lot of the time. Okay, well, I mean, getting air upgrades. Maybe I'll take it back for this one attack,
actually,
but
well, is it going to be saved anyways? There's lots of transfuses here.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have the recall. I don't know if it's going to be in this base or if he's going to scoot over.
No, this is drone harass. It's like the BC rush, man.
Okay, he's coming in here now. There's a lot of Archons underneath this, by the way. It's hard to see. But the Archons are required in order to cover.
Honestly, I think when you do that, give that much energy, you need to throw a time warp down too. There's just no reason not to. But
I agree.
Look at this, a lot of Neurals coming out. Oh my god, even... My god, that's a lot of Neurals.
Yeah, I feel like Protoss is just going to lose this fight here. He's going to be able to recall. Now, I don't know if he goes to that Nexus that's adjacent to here. No, he goes back home.
These attacks he's doing don't really seem very efficient.
Well, he's plummeting in supply. The Zerg is actually up in both minerals and gas. Was up in minerals a minute ago, but you get what I'm saying. You're losing huge units that take a long time to build, like carriers and motherships. I know the mothership is sort of expendable post-recall, but that only makes sense if the idea is still there that that army then wins some kind of fight. The fact that he's having fights over hatcheries, which are not even destroyed, by the way.
Well, this move, finally one of these Zealot attacks looks like it's going to pay off.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, there are some Ultras being added in now.
But it can be remade. And again, I think we're a little ways away from having another carrier, if we do have a carrier mothership recall, if that's going to be viable.
Armani scouts that Nexus in the top right, kind of funny. I mean, I love the idea of spreading out Nexuses for recalls and whatnot. Now look at this army going across. This army is just such a pain to deal with, especially when you're on Zealot, Storm Carrier. The Ultras don't care about that stuff very much, but oh my god, the DT blink.
Yeah, the DT blink is huge, but there might be too many Ultras down here. I mean, now he's going to get this over here, the Overseer.
Yeah.
The Archons are going to be picked off as well.
The Overseer really saving the day right there. Ultra's crushing face right now. Okay, we actually have 4 Tempests. So, it feels like Zest has tried several moves to get a big edge in this game. None of them have worked. They have all backfired.
I think
and
that,
now he's going for the heads-up confrontation, which he no longer has the income to do.
God, the damage that goes up exponentially with that.
Know,
it's kind of funny. Yeah, look, I mean, I don't think we're going to have another late game play like this from Zest. It seems like Armani has really gone step by step in dealing with this and shutting it down and making it, frankly, obsolete. I mean, Zerg is still roaming with a maxed out army, with minerals and actually plenty of gas in the bank. Right now, Zest is living paycheck to paycheck here.
Yeah.
As far as mining goes. He's actually going to also snipe down the mothership. Again, great harpooning here. You know, as even though Corruptors can be somewhat costly compared to carriers,
yeah,
Corruptors are like air Zergling Zartosis.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're almost happy when they die.
Yeah, you don't care when they die. You can make more of them or make something else.
Yeah, well, the thing is, and honestly, this game, Armani's just outplaying Zest.
Yeah. Well, this is pretty cool considering how confident Zest was coming into this today. He said he was going to 3-0 and leave the studio immediately.
Yeah.
Right now, Armani has dragged this game out by defending everything, and there's just a lack of opportunities on the map right now. You can also see that even as the carrier fleet over here is hitting the left side, on the opposite side of the map, we have Armani just expanding.
Yeah.
You just go where the army's not. And there's not a lot to stop, for instance, Infestor play. Look at that, long-distance mining. Not a lot to stop the Vipers from continuing to harpoon.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as the Zerg is patient, I believe the Zerg can eke out ahead. Now, you got to be careful. If you misplay against an army this big and lose the fight, then they can snowball it to a win.
That was cute.
Yeah, that was funny.
He stole a High Templar and stormed the army.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Ultras coming in, they're going to clear everything underneath in a matter of seconds.
And without protection underneath the army, it's very hard to actually pull anything off. The carriers are going to be going down now. The Corruptors are just going ham on the remaining carriers, as half the Infestors, or half the carriers have been immobilized by the Infestors. This should basically be the end of the game here.
Yeah.
Armani did it. He won in a drawn-out macro game. Again, Zest not known for being an amazing late-game macro player, more of a timing player. GG, Armani punishes, and now is one step closer to moving on to the round of 4.
So, here's some thoughts on that. I think that Zest's opener was very strong. He got himself into a great position. He got himself an army that he wanted. He had fantastic upgrades. His economy was ahead of Armani's. His army was ahead of Armani's. That first recall we saw on top of the Lurkers was a gigantic mistake. If he recalls in the main base, you can't deal with that with what Armani had at the time because his Archons and High Templars will kill everything.
It does seem like the carrier tech is hinged upon the recall in the main working, and if you don't make it work there, you've zoned yourself out of any kind of easy victory. Because from there, he did a lot of pressure that was completely impotent on the map. Didn't do much of anything. We're going to go to Game 2 now on Ice and Chrome. Right now, Armani with a 1-0 lead against Zest in this best of 5.
영광의 전투가 펼쳐진다. GSL을 위하여. 아프리카 프린스, 아르마니, 박진. Redo your edge game. Zest, Chuso.
So to jump back and talk just a little bit more about what we were just talking about there.
Yeah.
Obviously, the recall was in the wrong position. If he recalls in the main, it's gigantic. But overall, it didn't feel like he had a cohesive plan, because it was like, okay, we're going to recall, and then maybe we'll try another recall, but also there are some charge lots being sent around the map. And the thing is, all of these are good tactics. It's like, that's a good tactic, and that's a good tactic, and this is a good tactic. But none of it was really working together. He wasn't... The first recall was a perfectly planned, cohesive tactic. He was in one area with his army, drawing the army over there, and then he sent the mothership in for the recall.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic move. We didn't see things like that really set up that way again. And then it's like, okay, you have this army. The full frontal push you need Tempest for, or you need to think about having three groups doing things at the same time, rather than let's watch these Zealots go in and all die to Lurkers. And now let's fly over here and kill one Spore and get a carrier abducted, right? It was like the planning was amazing up to the recall, and then after that it was kind of like, it looked like he wins most games there, and I could see how. And then after that there wasn't, it wasn't as cohesive, is the best word I can really think of for it right now.
Well, I think the tactic was there, but the execution was absolutely terrible. I mean, not all games lead up to you doing one big late game tactic correctly, but this build is. You need to have the recall, get inside the main, and I think the answer is it's always the main. It's not a. It's
I think you're right.
It's away from spores. I mean, the only time I think you wouldn't want to go to the main is if the main, for whatever reason, was filled with only spores and the other expansion wasn't. The idea is that you need to have enough. You need to have too much, and they need to have too little, and he didn't execute it correctly.
Well, he recalled, like, the mothership saw everything, and he, like, moved it back towards more spores.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's not Lurkers in the main.
No.
This is not a big
lurkers.
cognitive leap that there are not Lurkers in the main base. That would be, like...
I mean, let's pretend that there were Lurkers in the main. That would be the, like, galaxy brain strat where you end up... In fact, that's not even a bad idea. If this starts to become more and more of a thing, is put Lurkers in the main.
Yeah.
And then they get caught off guard.
Maybe.
But then again, you don't have that much supply either. But
totally.
You get what I'm saying. I mean, it's just odd to recall into one of these corner bases where they're ready for just a Zealot run-in. And your air army, so...
Well, hopefully, whatever happens this game, it's a little bit cleaner from Zest. I think Armani played a very intelligent, very nice game. I still think he should have gotten the Baneling Nest earlier, because, for instance, I don't know what Zest is going to do here, but maybe he does one of these, like, Void Ray Zealot timings or something. Maybe he has multiple builds that look the same, because right now we see him taking that third Nexus, so far it looks like the previous game. I'd be surprised if he does the same exact build, though, right?
Yeah.
It's probably more likely that he'll do something else, but we'll see. We'll see. Sometimes you have a build and you're like, no, this is really good. Maybe Zest is going to have us hold his Protoss beer while he shows us how to kill Armani, because he messed something up last game that he really knows about.
Yeah, I am curious.
No, you're tasteless.
No, but seriously, I do want to see what exactly... All right. Never mind. I was going to say, maybe he does something more of like a mid-game timing push. Now, I do feel like this is one of these best of fives where Zest may enter into strategic redundancy.
It might be. He's kind of known for doing the same strategy a lot because he figures something new out.
Yeah, the problem, though, is we're already seeing a lot of what the blueprints of this build basically are, and the themes that the Protoss is trying to engage with that allow him to actually come out ahead here. But again, this looks like it's a slow opening. I mean, and when I say slow, I don't mean bad. I just mean it does take a while to build up. And I don't know. I mean, I would imagine Armani's not going to play worse than game one in this, right?
Well, he's certainly playing different. He already got the melee attack upgrade over halfway done. So immediately when he saw a Void Ray opener, he decided to get that, which is never bad against any flying openers, is to get that melee attack.
Which sounds counterintuitive, but it's not.
Well, flying units can't really deal with Zerglings. There's too many. They're too quick. It's not. Like, look at that. It takes forever for a Void Ray to kill one. And he already has a Baneling Nest and things, so we could see him ramp up aggression. I mean, this build right now really looks like what we saw the previous game. Maybe from Zest's practice, he realized, you know what, this 3 Stargate Void Ray thing, I can always get the 4th base for free. Because that's kind of what it's looking like right now. Like, I'm looking at this. Is there any way that Armani can stop him from getting a 4th base? Is there any unit composition that can stop him? It doesn't feel that way. Right?
I think you're right. So again, we're going to have Void Rays increment out. I think it's logical that we'll eventually have carriers. I don't imagine this is going to deviate into anything else. It seems like that can only lead up to that point.
Yeah.
Protoss will be taking a 4th base as well here pretty soon. Where, I'm not sure. You know, what is the best 4th base spot to take?
One.
I guess, yeah, the one that's just adjacent to the main.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, all the voids coming together. They were all patrolling. You can kind of see this beautiful spread of them on the mini-map. It's a box art army going across.
Yeah, box art army. I was thinking the same thing.
Like, oh yeah, you'll never see units spread like that in a game.
Yeah.
Nah, here we go.
There's normally a Protoss NPC talking right now about your mission as those are flying over.
Artanis needs your help.
Yes.
Like, no, he doesn't. Okay, so, I mean, some nice Void Ray harassment going down. 9 gates being added right now.
Okay, so this is actually very different. I stand corrected. I thought we were going to go right into carriers. He's opening up with this pretty insane Void Ray pressure, but from here he's going to go right into an attack. He's going to kill off a lot of work. This actually might work out really well here. He's going to avoid the Hydras.
Yeah, the Voids are doing a lot right now, but honestly, what we're seeing from Zest, if this turns into the attack it looks like it's going to, would have worked much better in the first game because it was a slow crawl into lurkers for Armani in the first game. Here, he's already got the Baneling Nest, and he's almost got +2 melee. So I look at that, and it's like, look, he's on 91 drones. I think Armani has really adjusted his play, and it looks beautiful.
Well, this goes to show you Armani put the time in here. He has put a lot of prep work, and he is ready for pretty much anything. Now, we got to see exactly how the execution of the attack goes down, but yeah, Armani looks very, very good. And again, we kind of thought Zest was going to be playing more of an aggressive series. I guess we still have plenty more games potentially to cast here, but for now, Zest has really modified his style, but Armani has also modified his whole approach to the matchup and has planned very well.
Look at this. Baneling drops +2 is about to finish. So again, you can see these little adjustments. The Void Rays are no longer in a defensive formation. They're with the main army. So the Baneling drop that's coming in, if Zest does not see it instantly, he's going to lose a huge chunk of his economy. Now Zest is going for a bit of an attack here. Baneling speed not quite done, but lots of Banes being made.
Okay, these Hydras doing a lot of damage to the Void Rays. The Zealots need to come in there to get in the front. Again, we want to watch for Banelings connecting here. Psystorm was forgotten. Psystorm is not there. He just started getting it.
Okay, some Stalkers being made. That should be anti-drop Stalkers specifically. Oh, man.
By the way, the chrono boost there on the Templar Archives as the Overlord flies over it. You don't oftentimes get to notice your opponent forgot an upgrade.
Well, look at this. Just good old Lingbane Hydra.
Psystorm is one of the really powerful weapons against Banelings, because if you can blanket the area correctly, the Banelings just can't connect to their targets. But with Psystorm still probably about 20 seconds out, there's not going to be much that you can do here. And this is just an insane amount of damage. The Banes are going to go right to the Templars. They're forcing an Archon morph.
Oh my god. Well, that means no storms. And how do you clear all this then?
Yeah, well, that's it. GG Armani 2-0. Zest is getting smashed here.
Armani with the thumbs
up.
Well, I tell you, like, I think his reaction to the build game 1 was not optimal, but he was fine because Zest didn't get aggressive. Here in game 2, he immediately went down a slightly different tech path at a slightly different pace.
Right.
He droned quicker. He had better upgrades. He had better counter potential. He had the Lingbane Hydra against this. It looked like I couldn't have mapped out a better way for him to counter Zest this game.
Look at Zest.
Yeah?
He is not thrilled with this here. I mean, this is where reality is really setting in, where one player is actually just outdoing it.
He wanted to go home early, Tasteless.
Yeah.
He might be sent home early.
Yeah, no kidding. He's just now taking his jacket off. He knows he has to win every game from here on out. Armani is completely countering this somewhat novel approach, at least from what we're used to seeing from Zest.
Yeah.
He's handled it very well. Is Zest going to stick with this, or is he going to switch into a different style? Let's find out as we hop into Game 3.
영광의 전투가 펼쳐진다. GSL을 위하여. 아프리카 프린스, 아르마니, 박진. Redo your edge game, Zest.
So I want to tell you about the conflict going on in my brain right now while I watch this,
Please.
right? Because the more I'm thinking about what I'm actually viewing here from these two players, like I'm totally in love with how Armani countered it in Game 2. I think that was fantastic. But the more I think about it, I think Zest's build that he has brought here today is really good. Like, really good. When you actually think about this, it looks completely safe for a third base. There might be a little window where someone could do something funky to get your third, but that would be kind of hard to bust out here, and risky as well because of your tech choice of the Void Rays. And then it looks to me like basically you do get a free fourth base, and you force them. The only way they could attack you before you max out, basically, would be with a Lingbane Hydra. So if you know that already, if you can force your opponent into a composition, you should be ahead because of that. So many Protoss builds in the past have been about that, like trying to force them into roaches, right? That was the whole thing about the Archon drop, is you didn't want them to be able to skip roaches. So the more I'm looking at this, I think that Zest's build is actually really awesome. It's just, it's not working out right now, and I think it could be tinkered with a little bit.
Artosis, let me just jump in here, man. Regardless of the ideas at play here, he has failed in execution 2 times in a row.
Yes.
Game 1, he recalls into one of the worst spots you could have recalled into. Plenty of spores and lurkers. So, I mean, thus shooting himself in the foot after all that buildup. Game 2, he forgot Psystorm. We're not seeing clean play from Zest. Armani is ticking all the boxes.
Yeah.
He is playing, I think idea-wise, perfectly fine, but he's not missing any beats here. We're not really seeing any major mistakes from Armani at all.
Yeah.
Well, now some players have off days here, but you know, I almost am less interested in the big picture ideas of what Zest is going to do, even though I do like this kind of Void Ray approach, and I think you're right, getting the fourth base for free is pretty cool, and I think you're correct in that forcing unit compositions is a lot of time how you do beat Zerg players, but he's not doing the dance correctly. Yeah. He's just missing stuff.
He's missing stuff.
I mean,
there's no question.
We've all had games like this. You miss an upgrade or you just attack completely incorrectly with your army. That's how you lose, and right now, just seeing that he's done it twice in a row, it's hard for me to imagine Zest coming back a 3-0 here and actually moving on to the round of 4.
Oh yeah, no, it does seem impossible, although he's going back into a Glaives build, which is his forte, or it has been this year so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're in agreement there. He's not playing well enough right now. But yeah, I mean, strategically what he's up to is super cool.
Oh man, big scout here too. So he sees, first of all, that there are no Stargates here. There's a Robo. The Citadel is upgrading.
Yeah, good
Twilight
scout.
Council.
Good high-quality scout right there. And of course, Armani will have played against this a million times, so definitely knows how to play against it. This is a more gateway-heavy one, so this looks like it's just a glaive all-in.
Yeah.
Whereas some of these builds, like if you go 4-gate, you can kind of build other techs or expand or add other things to it. As we're going up to the 6 gates, or maybe even more than that now, that might be, he might have added a couple more as well, but either way, he needs to do things with this. You can't just pressure with this.
Now, if the Zerg doesn't respect the possibility of how much damage is here, the Zerg can lose. But this is, you know, although, you know, Zest is really what, you know, popularized. He's the guy who made this build trendy in a lot of ways. He's the person who was unstoppable with Adepts, especially at the start of Legacy of the Void. I got to point out, man, like, this is something every Zerg is pretty good at holding now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was very strong right in the middle of 2020 here, but, you know, the Zerg's adapted pretty fast. He's not going to commit with those shades yet. You only have so many moments you can try to shade in here. Now, Zerg is making 5 drones. So there's going to be a little bit of
yeah, I think he realizes he has enough for now.
Yeah.
And the Link's coming in at just the right time. Has to cancel once again. Looks like Zest may have hit a slight supply block there, but has those pylons up now. Yeah, look at this. Zest is on 35 workers, so like it doesn't seem like there's another follow-up plan here. This counterattack is very scary. Zest has to dive now, I think.
Yeah, this may force a fight, which may just be playing right now into the hands of Armani. He's going to come forward now. He's able to isolate some of these queens here. Zest is taking out a Ravager. Here come those Links. Decent surround here. It looks like the Adepts want to shade into the third unless he decides to cancel.
Yeah, it's a good shade. I mean, he's got so many Adepts, those Lings going for the counterattack. It's a scary thing, but Zest knew he had to jump right then.
Yeah, this may be enough damage here. Again, you're trying to isolate the units. A good surround here. Not enough Corruptors here to try to shoot down the Warp Prism. So I think he's going to get a Warp in here as he then shades into the main to combo this all together. GG, Zest takes game 3.
All right. So Zest kind of going back to his old ways. Armani, you know, he went for that counterattack, and that's a dangerous ploy.
Zest doing what has worked in the past. The question now is, what does he do the next 2 games?
That.
Oh man, but I feel like that is going to have diminishing returns the more often you do it, right? And it seems like that's a build you have to do once in a best of 5. But there's going to be a lot of different variations and iterations of that.
Maybe Armani thought it was a more Mac-oriented one, where Zest was going to pull back into Century Immortal or something.
I think he didn't realize it until he went up to the third. He saw a Stalker was blocking the entrance. He went to the third. There's no third. He's like, oh, and by then it's too late. By then,
I think
an
that's
ocean
right.
of Adepts are shading in.
Yeah.
And there's really nothing you can do.
That is the most likely the explanation of what happened there.
We're going to be going to a short break, and when we come back, game 4 in this best of 5.
something true and original. Like a shooting star, so unreachable. You make me wanna touch the untouchable. Boy, you are so fine, it's criminal.
상큼한 복숭아가 사이다를 더 청량하게 새로움을 마시다.
울트라 기어로 부드럽게 이긴다. LG 울트라 기어 게이밍 모니터. 울트라 기어로 선명하게 이긴다. LG 울트라 기어 게이밍 모니터.
잡아 킬 흐림님 힐 그렇지 나 힐 이전 소리끈 온다 잡아 바닥 바로
From the beginning. Hit it, boys.
고고 핫식스
성능을 언제 어디서나 가볍게 즐기다. 지포스 GTX 1650 그래픽 최신 인텔 10세대 프로세서 탑재. 고성능 노트북의 새로운 기준 LG 울트라 기어.
디자인을 하면서 가장 중요하게 생각했던 부분은 울트라 기어의 차별화된 브랜드 메시지를 잘 나타내는 것입니다. 신과 영웅들의 최강의 무기들을 검토하였습니다. 그중 니케의 승리의 날개를 모티브로 지금의 울트라 기어의 로고가 탄생하게 되었습니다. 울트라 기어의 이니셜인 U와 G를 비상하는 날개의 형상으로 레드 색상을 사용하여 강력한 에너지와 힘을 나타내었습니다. 울트라 기어는 최상의 퍼포먼스로 진정한 게임의 즐거움, 승리의 기쁨을 여러분께 선사할 것입니다.
RO8, Zest, Armani.
Welcome back, everyone. Zest has won a game. Thank God for Zest's sake. I was worried this was going to be a 3-0 wash.
Yeah.
Armani is still in the lead. He's been winning in impressive macro games, although Zest has basically missed key moments of execution, whether that be attack positioning or upgrades. Zest did win with a classic Zest build of an Adept all-in, but that'll only carry him into Game 4. What does he do? Does he do a different variation of that build? I think there's a possibility he does a couple different Adept all-in iterations. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Game 4 is loaded up.
영광의 전투가 펼쳐진다. GSL을 위하여.
Oh, a 12 pool.
Africa Freeze, Armani, 박진영.
I think this is really smart.
I don't know if it's going to work out this time because Zest sent a very fast scout.
Yeah, but I think
I think
it's a good
smart
idea.
Too, though.
Yeah. Well, the fact it's going to be scouted right away is unfortunate. We spent so much time talking about what does Zest need to do, but yeah.
But we never ask what should he do.
Yeah, what ought he do?
So this is a fake out. He's trying to pull the probe. In fact, like, okay, now Zest probably knows there's something up.
Yeah.
Because that looked... Armani was trying too hard there with the drone, which might sound weird if you haven't played a lot of StarCraft, but sometimes you can see worker movement like that and be like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're trying to sell this a little bit too much. There's acting in StarCraft. And
absolutely.
That drone was cheesy as hell.
When you're over moving a unit too much, you're like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
What are you?
So Zest he's getting out of Zelot. He's making a gate and a core.
This is going to be uncomfortable now for Armani. Again, I like the idea here from Armani, but now this, I mean, nothing's set in stone, of course, but this could be a game that Zest wins, and we're at 2-2, man.
Yeah, it definitely can be. Like, you have to say advantage Zest here.
Again, Zest has more experience in prepping for best of fives of this caliber. GSL different from other tournaments in how long it takes for us to get through an entire tournament, thus giving players a lot more time to prep.
I don't think it was a terrible call to go for the 12 pool, and it's not game over. Like, you know, you can kind of get into some interesting positions from a 12 pool, even if it doesn't.
He just got us around on the Zealot.
Yeah, that was nice.
Nicely done.
Micro. But, you know, 2 Adepts popping out. I think he should send them immediately, to be honest.
I completely agree. Needs to start being aggressive. He's
And
going
look
to
at
fork
this.
the Adepts out in 2 directions just to confirm.
Yeah, he's just zoning Zerglings out, because if they already started walking back, then he can, you know, mess with that.
But now there's an opening here. Just one probe to block. That won't last for too long, but a pylon comes down.
Beautiful. Really good from Zest. And look at this. He's forced 8 more Lings now. How annoying is that? That is, these have already killed 4 drones, basically.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, he doesn't want to make those Lings. You're going to have to make some amount, but... Haha. Trapped.
So this game has already become pretty scrappy here. The 2 Adepts are going to try to shade up here into the main.
Yeah, and you can see slightly different micro there from Armani, who's trying to keep the Lings out of their vision, because he actually wants the shade to finish real bad. He wants to be able to surround them and stop having to deal with this right now, but Zest probably won't let that happen.
How troublesome is this really for the Protoss now, do you think?
Oh, I think Zest has an advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is good, right? The 3rd hash is much later, the droning comes later. Yeah, your Nexus is slower and stuff, but, I mean, can you spot anything wrong with Zest's position in comparison to Armani's?
With the Zerg, is there any kind of specific tech you want to go into? I mean, you're playing a game where, on some ways, you're getting lapped, and that's pretty bad in early game. Not a lot of StarCraft 2 games can you stay in if you've already lost some pacing early on.
Yeah, it's a tough question because, like, it really kind of matters on what Protoss is doing, because if Protoss is playing kind of a more laid-back game, if they aren't planning on putting pressure on you,
right,
then what you want to do is drone as quickly as possible, you know, maybe get that 3rd base up. Whereas, you know, what we have going on right here is, like, Zest, it looks like he's just going into a DT-based Archon drop, right? Which is going to put a lot of pressure on. So, once you figure that out as Armani, where do you want to go with that? I feel like staying on 2 bases for a while is the right call for him, though. Right? You can kind of, you'll be able to defend everything Zest does. And I mean, I know that the best thing to do as Zerg is to get those 3 bases up quickly, but in this type of situation with a failed 12 pool, I think that you can mess around and do some more tech-based stuff, right? We could see something as crazy as Stormhost Nidus to something like Mutalisk to, you know, maybe you just get Roach Speed and take a 3rd. There's a lot of different options here. None of which are perfect because his opening was not what he wanted.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're trying to basically navigate a game where your decisions that possibly could have won you the game now have put you behind.
Yeah, yeah. It's a common circumstance.
So we're going to have Archon drop Harass, which I think is a smart move here by Zest. It's safe. It's not hard to do. You're pretty much guaranteed to get damage off on them.
Yeah, and there's very little that's scarier than, like, 2-base Roach, to be honest.
Sure.
And, I mean, that's kind of what you're trying to force him into with this. Single Archon coming across at the moment because he doesn't have more gates. I'm sure he'll stop and get another one pretty quickly.
Yeah, here's going to be that second set of DTs being made over here. He'll morph that. He'll then go ahead across the map, and we'll see how much damage he can actually get. Now, both players are taking 3rds at roughly the same time here.
Now, double Evo is going. I find that to be a little bit of an interesting choice. It wasn't what I expected, I guess. Oh. And the harassment so far has been fine. What is Armani's follow-up to this? Because his drone count's okay. He's got his 3rd hatch up now. He's, like, almost on 3-base economy.
I love just going after the Overlords and Overseers. He's actually supply blocked Armani twice already.
And he's removed creep tumors, too, with that Observer. It's really good stuff. Looks like Armani trying for a little bit of a counterattack, not going to get anything done.
Armani fishing for damage, but just really unable to get away with any here. It's hard, too, because, like, roaches are pretty tough, but Archon harass versus Ling Roach Queen, you're going to always do damage.
Yeah.
Roaches don't have great range. The fact that Archons are mostly shields and shields can be regenerated, that was close, but as long as the shields can be regenerated, you're not really taking any losses.
Armani continuing to upgrade. +2 attack. I mean, it's always good to get upgrades, right? I don't see exactly where he's going. I guess he's just trying to make the highest quality Roach Ravager army he can at the moment. But the army that Zest is making seems really well prepared to kill what Armani has, you know? If you're sitting there on 1-1 Roach Ravager, yeah, it's great to have that 1-1. But it's going to be Mass Sentry Immortal Blink Stalker with some Archons coming at you.
Yeah.
And that's, like, pretty darn good against that.
Armani now moving out on the map. I'm actually very excited to see this game pan out from Armani's side, since Armani has mostly either been substantially in the lead or just died to the timing. You know, I think we're going to get a much better idea of where he's at here. Because this is one of the games where, like, if you're way better than your opponent as a Zerg, you can still win.
Yeah. We're going to have to see what type of tactics he takes for taking this fight. The 4th base can't be held, so if he tries to defend it at all against this, then that's going to be a loss. Oh, man, it's tough.
Yeah, he's going to have to cancel this.
Yeah.
Not even enough creep for the Zerg to try to take a fight over here. Another Overseer goes down.
This area is too thin.
Yeah.
Look at this. Like, he's got a good amount of Ravagers, so that's his saving grace here.
He might be able to actually pick off the Warp Prison.
Yeah.
Good cancel, Zest.
He wanted that Stalker Warp in, but you have to. And look, a move like that is good for
Oh
Armani.
my god.
Oh.
Just now noticing this. There's one DT over here.
Yeah, that's a nice move.
I love this. He's going to go hide it again.
It looks like this is about to be 2-2. I can't... Oh, I was recalling it? That's hilarious.
That seems a bit excessive. But,
yeah, a little bit.
Okay, he's going to come in now. The force field's going down. This is a very good arc right now for Protoss, especially with the force fields coming in here, boxing in a lot of these roaches.
I tell you, those Biles killed a lot of sentries very, very quickly there, so maybe not the best control from Zest, but does it actually matter? He has so much more than Armani right here. Now, Armani is doing a counterattack with some Lings.
I don't think it's going to be enough.
No.
I think no matter how many probes you kill with your Lings, you're not going to stop this army from running over and destroying your entire base. And Warpins over time will clean those Lings up. 3 Immortals, too many Stalkers to count. And now over here, in between all of the possible rally points, the Roach War and everything else, we're going to see GG here. Yeah, DT is alone to clean this up. Beautiful play here by Zest. The comeback is real. We're going to be going into Game 5. Right now, tied up 2-2. Armani was close to 3-0ing this. Zest with the comeback. I have no idea who takes us now. Look at Armani.
Well,
this is uncomfortable.
Yeah, you know what? He tried the 12 pool. He was trying to sell it and get the probe to follow his drone. Zest, he blocked it very well, and he did a strong follow-up. Whereas Armani's follow-up, I don't mind how late he took his 3rd there.
Yeah.
But, and I mean, I'm a guy that loves upgrades, okay? As everyone should.
You're
right?
very brave.
Yeah. He got his 1-1.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm big on upgrades.
Upgrades are nice. They make your units stronger.
I don't get any upgrades the whole game. I just don't want to.
Oh, I know your type of person, Tasis. Yeah. But, like, what was the plan there? If a Zest attacks or something like that, your army will never, ever, ever hold. He had nothing special going on other than the fact he had a Carapace upgrade that Zest didn't have.
I think Armani needs to be not taking risks early on. We're going to go to Game 5 now on Pillars of Gold. The last game between these two. The winner goes on to the round of 4 in the GSL.
Africa Freaks, Armani, Hakchi. We do your edge game. Just choose on.
Okay. Just the quick scout there by Zest.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by the quick scout.
What do you want to see from Zest, Tasteless?
Honestly, I would
honestly.
say something like we saw in Game 3, a different iteration of an adept play. I mean, Zest, I think, has the widest range of different adept timings.
Okay.
And the fact that this best of 5 has mostly avoided games of adept timings means he hasn't spent a lot of the different builds and the rotations of them that he could use, right? I mean, the first 2 games were basically failed carrier tech. I definitely don't want to see that from him, unless he really thinks he's ironed out all the creases in his play. This does not appear to be a game where Armani is going to take a risk and then Zest just gets ahead because the risk doesn't work. I mean, for instance, Game 4 is probably the most straightforward of all the games.
Yeah.
Armani tried to surprise Zest, and it didn't work, and Zest, because the surprise didn't work, Zest took a lead, he handled it well, and he just drove that to its logical conclusion, which is Protoss stays ahead and wins. This game, I think Armani's going to play, I imagine, safer. I don't feel that Zest has proven that he can win with really drawn-out attack like with the Stargates and everything else like that. I think adept timing is in order, and I think since we've only had one that he did that worked, I think you do a different variation of one, maybe the same one, I'm not sure. But to answer your question, if I had to see that, I think Zest needs to go lean into his aggressive style that has worked in the past.
Okay. Well, he is making the Twilight. So,
and again, the only reason
it's likely that you're right.
The only reason why I think this is the way to do it is because we've neglected this play for most of the series, with the exception of one game. A lot of the games that we've seen Zest lose in the past, he gets 1 or 2 wins off, but he's doing the same kind of style over and over. And by then, the Zerg has pretty much figured out everything they need to adjust to.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess what's left to see is how many gates he's going to end up making here to see how committed he is to this
22
attack.
links.
Wow.
22 Zerglings here coming out.
Okay.
That's, now you get Zerglings against this build, but not that early.
No, he's going for a bust.
Yeah.
With the drones,
wow.
with the drones! Oh my god.
Oh no. Oh, well. Is he going to be ready?
He's got multiple areas he can rewall.
Yeah, that's true. The question is,
Zest might be all right here. Let's see how quick he reacts. Here it comes. Okay, he's got that second. Oh, the drone's getting in the way. It's so hard to rewall in a situation like this.
The drone's getting a little bit weaker. The links are still through.
Uh-oh, really bad news right here. He's trying to make shield batteries. They're not coming up in time.
Nothing even to shield battery with here. The pylon's going to go down, stopping the Warbin.
Oh my
Armani's done it.
Yeah, that is going to be that. GG, and Zest is out in the round of 8. Armani, on his first round of 16, makes his first round of 8, which brings him into his first round of 4.
So crazy. What a story. One of the big underdogs of GSL is now in top 4, defeating one of the most accomplished Protoss players of all time.
Yeah.
And I think this shows excellent planning in a best of 5. He took a risk in Game 4. It didn't pay off. I thought he was going to go into defensive play. I think Zest did too, judging from the build. Armani went even further into a more aggressive style of play. Zest was caught off guard. The drones showed up. Nothing could be blocked off there, and Armani wins. Let's go to that interview now.
Yeah.
시즌3 돌풍의 핵심
Wow,
아프리카
what a
프릭스
performance from the
박진혁 선수
underdog
만나보겠습니다.
Armani.
축하드립니다.
Congratulations.
감사합니다.
Thank you.
오늘 풀세트 접전을 통해서
And with a
생애
full
첫
set match.
GSL 4강에
And this is your
진출했습니다.
first
소감
GSL
어떠세요?
round of 4 in your life. How do you feel?
오늘 제가 좀 다양하게 준비를 했는데
Well, today
주성
I
선수가
prepared a
하는 거
various
보니까 다
strategies.
생각하면서 하더라고요. 그래서
And I felt like Zest
거의 모든
knew
게임이
what I was going to do.
연습 솔직히 마지막 필러스 빌드도
So everything I had to
준비한
do
게
today
아니에요.
was
그냥
improvised.
그냥 했어요.
And the last strategy in the last
사실
set
그
was also
빌드
improvised as
예전에
well.
강민수 선수가 GSL에서 사용을 했었고
And the
그
strategy
빌드의
used in the last set
원조가
was
박진혁 선수로
something
저희가
that
알고
Solo
있었는데
used before.
그걸 다시 꺼낸다는 좀 부담감이 있지 않았나요?
So were you nervous using that strategy?
그래서 이게 이삭이 형이 알려준 빌드인데
Yes, definitely.
때부터 제가 쓰려고 아껴뒀던 건데
So Parting actually told me this strategy.
뭐 민수랑은 좀 소통에
And I
문제가
was
있어서
actually
민수
saving
먼저
this for later.
써버렸지만 모르겠어. 필러스 시작하는데 이제 상대가 차원 관문 빠르게 누르는 거 보고 우주 관문이
In
아니라
Pillars
확실히
of
드는
Gold,
순간
I knew that
그 빌드가 갑자기 너무 하고
I knew
싶은
that
거예요.
Zest was
그냥
gonna go
여기에
for
내
the warp
운명을
gate,
맡기자.
and I saw that, and then I
어차피 지금
immediately
페이스
knew
말린
that
것
I had to
같다.
use this build no matter what.
그리고 주성호 선수가 이제 저한테 우주 관문 하다가 1, 2세트 졌잖아요.
And you know,
그래서
Zest
우주 관문을
actually
안될것
lost to me
같아서 확률로 3,
going
4세트
for the
바꾸신
gate
것
in the
같은데
first
그래서
game and the second
5세트도
game.
뭔가 우주 관문 안 할 것 같은 느낌이 들어서 그래서 즉흥으로
So I
사용했는데
had a feeling that he was
운이 너무
not going to go for the Stargate
박준혁
in the
선수의
fifth set,
과감한
and my
선택의
prediction was correct.
배경까지 확인을 해봤습니다. 사실 오늘 경기 보면서 재밌었던 게 이미
So the
2세트
interesting
끝나고
point
엄지척을
of today's match
하셨잖아요.
was you actually did a thumbs up
생각하고 계셨나 봐요.
after winning the second game. So what was that about?
했는데
You actually wanted to send him home quickly.
영호 형이 준 필살기가 있었거든요. 근데 주성호 선수가 그걸 생각하면서 하더라고요. 그래서 즉흥으로 그냥 운영했는데
So I actually went for a macro in the
1,
game.
2세트를 뭔가 좀 완전 운영으로 이겼다 보니까 실력에서 좀 이겼다 해야 되나?
I mean, in the
그래서
first
좀
game and the
자신감이
second game, I
생겨가지고
won with macro, so I
기회가 안
actually
질
got
것
a lot
같은
of
거예요.
confidence since I did
그래서
win
너무
with pure
경험
skills.
부족이지 않나. 이미 2대 0인 순간부터 좀 들떴던 게.
And I feel like I was
3,
too
4세트의
happy after my
진행인 것
second game,
네,
so that's why I
말씀대로
lost
오늘
third and
경기
fourth.
중에 그 1세트 승리가 굉장히 인상적이었습니다.
Yes, I mean the first game was definitely very fabulous.
정말 손이 많이 가는 후반 경기를 저 마법 유닛도 상당히 잘 쓰시더라고요.
In the late game,
이게
you used
얼마나
magic
준비를
units so well,
하셨던
like the
건지 좀
investors.
궁금해요.
네, 데스오라는 주성호 선수가 저 빌드 할 거 알고 저렇게 완전 똑같이 할 거
In
알고
Zest
있었어요.
Aura, I knew that
제
Zest was
손바닥
going to go
위에
for the exact same build,
저게 파괴할 방법이 없어요.
and there's
저게
no solution to that
꼬리가
build, to be
죽지도
honest.
않고 제가 보기에 저게 제일 좋은 빌드 같은데.
I think that's the best build for the
그래서
portals right now.
이거는 답이 반땅밖에 없다 해서
So I knew
저희
I
팀에
had 50% chance to
반땅
win
제일
that game.
잘하는 대엽이 형이 있기 때문에 대엽이 형이랑 연습하다가
And I was actually
오늘
scrimming
주성호
with
선수랑
Stats,
해보니까 좀 차이를 느꼈습니다.
and then I
좀더
played with
쉽게
Zest today. So I knew that
김대엽 선수와
playing with
연습을
Stats
하고
definitely
나니 오늘
made it
경기에
easier
더
to play against
쉽게 할
Zest
수
today.
있었다는 얘기 같은데요. 자, 박준혁 선수의 4강 진출 시즌 3 돌풍의 핵으로
Alright, Armani, you
거듭났습니다.
secure your spot in
이제
the round
4강
four.
상대는 다음 경기에서
And your round 4
정해지는데요.
opponent will be decided in the later match,
조성주
which
선수
is
어떤
between the
선수를
junior
원하시나요?
members Maru and Trap.
저도
Who do you want to play against?
상상을 해봤어요. 만약에 4강을 가면 누가 더 좋을까?
I actually did some
근데
imagination before coming
뭐
here.
4강이란 무대
Who I wanted to verse
자체만으로
against.
저한테 되게 높은 곳이고 솔직히 누구나 다 잘하잖아요.
And then round 4 was something that I thought I would never be able to get to.
누구든 제가 피하는 선수 없이 다 이겨야 된다.
And my mindset right now is that I have to beat any player that gets in my way right now.
성주랑 좀 했거든요. 그때 생각이 바뀌었어요. 성주랑 하면 절대 못 이길 거야.
And I actually played with Maru before, and then I realized that if I play against Maru, I'm never going to be able to win.
뭐 내가 무조건 이겨야 되는 상대고 뭐고 지금 아직 내가 준비가 안
So
된
Maru
것
is not an
같다.
opponent I can beat.
근데 물론 성호 형도 엄청
And I know
잘하잖아요.
Trap is a phenomenal player,
되게 많이 지는데.
and I did lose to him a lot in the
성호 형도
past.
약간 제가 주성호 선수랑 비슷한 것처럼.
But I feel like Trap
돌때
is
됐거든요.
quite similar to Zest in a way that I beat him once in every like 3 months.
그래서 저는 성호 형이 좀 더 나은 거예요.
So if I had to choose a preference, it would be Trap
이어서
as my
조성우
opponent.
선수에게는 또 어떤 모습 보여주실지
How will he perform
기대를
against
하도록
Trap
하겠습니다.
in the
자, 생애
later
첫
match if he
GSL
does
4강
advance?
정말 기대가 많이 됩니다.
Right, this is the first round of 4.
마지막 한마디
Before you
들어볼게요.
go, anything you want to say?
우선 연습 도와준 뭐 이삭이 형, 기웅이 형,
Well,
지현이 형,
thanks to
대엽이 형,
Hurricane, Stats,
한솔이,
Parting,
이건우.
Zaun, and everyone else for
이 중에서 이삭,
helping me with the
대엽,
scrims.
지현, 기웅은 제 24강 때부터 전부 다 도와줬거든요.
I mean, these
특별히
scrim
더
partners
진짜
have helped me since the round of 24.
고맙다고 전하고
So I'm
싶고.
always thankful to them.
아, 그리고 4강이 한 명만 더 이기면 결승이잖아요.
And from the round of 4, you know, if I just beat one more player, it's the finals.
게이머가 다 비슷하겠지만
And I'm sure all the pro
어렵게
gamers
이제
think the same.
무대에서 게이머들 경기하는 거 보고 프로 게이머 꿈꿨을 텐데.
You know, I've always imagined myself in the final stage watching the pro gamers.
제가 TV에서 보던 큰 야외 무대나 관중 많은 그런 무대는 아니지만.
So despite the finals not being like a big one with a lot of crowd,
남았으니까.
I have one step left for the finals.
게이머를 꿈꿨고
I want to remind myself why I wanted to become a pro gamer in the first place.
열심히
And I'm going to try my best
결승갈 수 있도록
until the final
이번에
stage.
사고 쳐보겠습니다.
네, 사고 쳐보겠습니다. 저희는 기대를 하도록
Alright, we'll look
하겠습니다.
forward to
다시
your
한번
plays,
생일 첫
Armani.
4강 축하드립니다.
Once again, congratulations. Thank you.
Hell
네,
yes.
이렇게
Hell
이번의
yes.
핵심 박준혁
Yeah.
선수
It's never too late,
만나봤는데요.
man. Keep
계속해서
trying,
GSL
keep training.
안내해드립니다.
Armani was always a player who was, again, in the background of the GSL. He was not a player we ever thought of being in the Final Four. He's been beating incredible player after incredible player, and it's showing that his planning is really working out.
Yeah.
Now, I think
good plan.
Whoever he faces in the round of 4, it's going to be a huge challenge, but it's hard to not root for him.
Absolutely. He almost retired. He was very close to it. He decided to keep playing, and here he is. I mean, round of 4, dreams come true.
We're going to have a short break. When we come back, our next best of 5, the last one in the round of 8. Don't go away.
상큼한 복숭아가 사이다를 더 청량하게 새로움을 마시다.
실성사이다.
울트라 기어로 부드럽게 이긴다. LG 울트라 기어 게이밍 모니터. 울트라 기어로 선명하게 이긴다. LG 울트라 기어 게이밍 모니터.
잡아 킬 흐림님 힐 그렇지 나 힐 2점 쓰리끈 온다 잡아 바닥 바로
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
고고 핫식스.
성능을 언제 어디서나 가볍게 즐기다. 지포스 GTX 1650 그래픽 최신 인텔 10세대 프로세서 탑재. 고성능 노트북의 새로운 기준 LG 울트라 기어.
디자인을 하면서 가장 중요하게 생각했던 부분은 울트라 기어의 차별화된 브랜드 메시지를 잘 나타내는 것입니다. 신과 영웅들의 최강의 무기들을 검토하였습니다. 그중 니케의 승리의 날개를 모티브로 지금의 울트라 기어의 로고가 탄생하게 되었습니다. 울트라 기어의 이니셜인 U와 G를 비상하는 날개의 형상으로 레드 색상을 사용하여 강력한 에너지와 힘을 나타내었습니다. 울트라 기어는 최상의 퍼포먼스로 진정한 게임의 즐거움, 승리의 기쁨을 여러분께 선사할 것입니다.
야, 우리 진짜 한 판만 더 이기면 돼.
야 그럼 나 화장실 좀 갔다 올게.
야, 어디가?
금방.
자, 이 정도.
20여 명의 학생들이 컴퓨터 게임에 몰입하고 있는 또 다른 PC방. PC방의 전원을 꺼보겠습니다.
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
고고 핫식스.
싱그러운 청귤이 사이다를 더 청량하게 새로움을 마시다.
실성사이다.
성능을 대용량 배터리로 언제 어디서나 더 오래 즐기다. 72Wh 대용량 배터리, 고성능 노트북의 새로운 기준 LG 울트라 기어. 듀얼 메모리, 듀얼 저장 장치. 고성능을 듀얼 업그레이드로 더 오랜 기간 즐기다.
거기 들어와. 그 밑에 걔 잡고. 나이스. 자, 됐어.
미안해 로나. 화났어?
미안해. 내가 해줄게.
아 잠깐 내가 누르면 안 돼. 누르면 안 돼 지금. 자 교표가 무슨 소리야?
좋은 시간 되세요.
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
고고 핫식스.
네, 그렇습니다.
이상한데? 그렇게 작아. 너무 안 보이는데? 보이지가 않잖아. 쓸 수가 아니 저 키워보라고.
성능을 17대화면으로 언제 어디서나 더 크게 즐기다. WQXGA 초고화질의 17대화면 16:10 최적의 화면비. 고성능 노트북의 새로운 기준 LG 울트라 기어.
라면이요.
자 이게
나왔습니다.
잠깐만 들어주세요. 잠깐. 빨리 나와요 이거.
음료 나왔습니다.
From the beginning.
고고! 핫식스!
인구수에서는 앞서 나가는 이신영.
오선에도 잡혔어요.
자, 위로 추가 병력까지 코너의 확장 쪽의 데미지를 이탄에게는 병력이 조금 모자라는가요?
테란이 효율적인 교전으로 이득 챙긴 거죠.
이거 추가 병력은 수적자잖아요. 수적자를 생산하면 다른 가스 유닛이 안 나온다는 거거든요. 전면 이렇게 끊어야죠. 끊어야죠.
폭풍이 일단 좋아요.
네, 폭풍이 좋아.
자, 이 시험 절대로 예방선 밖으로 나가면 안 돼요.
네, 이 거리 유지하면서 싸워야 됩니다.
네.
이거 지금 송병구에게 저로에게 왔습니다.
그냥 이거 컵맵이다. 컵맵이다.
들어야 돼. 두 명이 정확하게 풀 없거든요.
자, 위로 들어가세요.
송병구 위치 좋은데요. 일단 한 번 더 잡아야죠.
그래서 갑방선이에요. 그래서 갑방선.
자, 해방선이 지금 테란의 미래거든요.
근데 이게 있죠. 해방선이 방어이 안 되면 테란의 미래가 풀렸을 때. 마지막 기회. 안 돼요. 해방선.
해방선 안 돼요. 해방선 안 돼요.
무령 없을 때 이에 해방선 없어요.
시간 끌리면 폭풍이죠.
앞전면할 수 있죠. 앞전면.
폭풍.
수학이 끝나지 않았네요.
그렇죠. 누가 지난 시즌 우승자를 송병구가 잡을 거라고 생각했겠습니까? 위에서 추가 병력 사도 내려오죠.
아 근데 공중 잡아도 사도 추가됩니다. 이제 사도 사세요.
자, 머리 위에 지금 폭풍.
빨리 터져내죠.
자, 우선은 지상병력이 누가 지상병력이
유령이 쌓이면 지상병력 이깁니다.
포경모드.
유령이 버티면 이겨요.
포경모드.
자, 여기 하나 조금 더 버텨줘.
인구수 50 차이 납니다.
네, 조금 더 밀어야죠.
지금 이제 구전사랑
사이드 프로토스
확장
오늘
오늘
많은데
건데
가스 없어요.
여기서 이제부터 밀어야죠.
가스 없어요. 가스.
자, 여기서 빨리 전리 붙여라.
나오면 안 돼요. 나오면 위험합니다.
자, 들어가서 싸웁니다. 뒤에
나오면 위험하거든요.
자, 이분들 들어가서
나오면 또
아이언을 내 목숨을 아이언에게
그냥 깡이죠.
진짜 위험한데.
프로토스
광전사로 여기서 맞춰야 되는데
들어가서 밀고 유령
광전사 접근이 없어요.
지금 광전사 질럿 웨이브
그렇죠. 더 소환될 수 있거든요.
돌진입니다. 돌진.
무조건 광전사.
이 광전사를 뭐로 막나요?
그렇죠. 그 수많은 7천 광물의 이유가 광전사였어요.
그렇죠. 왔어요. 이제 더 이상 프로토스 자원 없긴 없지만
한 방의 시작은 광전사거든요.
이미 광전사 끝도 광전사.
정면 들었죠.
지금 각 잡고 싸웁니다.
이게 광전사예요. 이게 광전사.
행성 요새 있으면 뭐하나요? 광전사가 다 깨버리는데
방어 오해했냐는 거죠.
존재 이유의 그 자체 광전사.
불어 광전사.
야, 그렇죠. 3, 3호 광전사.
네. 확실히 긴장하고 있네요. 긴장보다는 확실하게 상황 읽고 있습니다.
프로토스의 로망 광전사로 경기를 끝내고 승자로 올라가는 주성우 선수. 들어가고 있는 변현우 선수인데요. 상대는 확장을 준비하고 있습니다.
그런데 이거 정도 전막 깨는 거 만족 못해요.
하나.
맹독충 1.4 변호가 진짜 원탑이거든요.
그렇죠.
욕심을 낼 수밖에 없는 게 여왕이 많기 때문에 전망만 파괴하고 빠져도 금방 복구되거든요.
야, 수적으로 좀 들어가는데요. 이번에
맹독충이
이번에
여기서 여왕을 녹일 수 있는
말도 안 돼요. 미친 컨트롤이 나오나요? 이게 안 됩니다. 이거 말이 안 돼요. 마이크로 하는 도대체 어떤 선수의 이런 미친 플레이를 해요? 누가 맹독충을 맹점사는 11개를 해요. 야인 아니면 못하는 거예요. 야인 시대 아니면 지금이야. 말도 안 됩니다. 아니면 못합니다.
이거 본진 쪽에 떨어져서 본진 장악해야 됩니다. 그렇죠. 관문 정전 수정답게 해야 돼요.
네, 자 내려가서 이쪽으로 내려서.
이거 귀환 관리 되나요? 귀환 관리 되나요? 귀환 안 되면 아직 귀환 컬이 없고 이쪽에 모든 병력 이끌고 오는데 지뢰 대박난 상태로 흔들려요.
지금 와서 지금 한번.
와 그래도 병력 배분 잘해주면서 양쪽에 병력을 막을 만하긴 한데 이제 문제는 컨트롤이죠. 이게 지금 얼마나 흔들리냐면 정오빠 부채가 해병에 가까이 가면서 오히려 우클릭으로 다른 쪽으로 빠졌어요.
자 이러면 관문이 좀 가둬나고 있거든요.
자 그래서
자 센터학장 쪽으로.
막불 작전 너도 컨트롤 어렵게 해라.
자 여기도 다수의 좀 분위기가 있습니다.
지지로 가야 되는데 저거 폭발 툴을 얼마나 잘 쓰느냐입니다. 건설로 그렇죠. 다 맞아줘야 돼요.
많아요. 분위기 많아요.
분위기 많아요.
아 분위기
자
때문에.
이거 프로토스 마지막 압박. 지금 저거 폭발 툴다 빠졌을 때 다 빠졌을 때 싸우고 지금 프로토스 앞마당에 지금 병력 그대로 이득 거두고 있었거든요.
네.
이쪽에서 싸워주고 언덕을 잡게 되면 전태형 싸움 앞전면 태우는 거 미스났습니다. 이렇게 되면 이거 잡게 돼요. 잡게 되죠.
님이 밀어요.
전태형에서 우르선이 태우고 최악의 수가 됐습니다. 이거 결국 연결체가 깨지면 무승부 나오거든요. 무승부 나와요. 기한 지금 준비해야 됩니다. 기한 준비해야 됩니다. 기한 준비해야 됩니다. 기한 안 했어요. 기한 안 했어요. 기한 안 하고요. 새끼입니다. 깨요. 미안한데 우리 다시 하지 한번 더 하자. 가장 든든한 군송장입니다.
군송장 여기 하나가 이제 여기서 들어나왔습니다. 들어.
아니 4강전에서 무승부가
이번 시즌 무승부.
이확장 이번에 또 발휘되면 타격 크죠. 그리고 이전 경기랑은 좀 다른 게 업그레이드 차이가 좀 많이 나요. 깰 겁니다. 깨러 갈 겁니다. 풀무비 또 마무리.
하는 게 마음 편하긴 하죠. 저희가 지켜야 되는데
지금 해병 물고기 그냥 뛰어다녀야죠. 앞마당으로 들어가서 다시 한번 엘리전 구도 그리고 행성을 새끼고 버티는 거 어디서 많이 봤던 장면이고. 근데 이거는 전태환 입장에서 최고의 상황이 될 수 있습니다. 분열기 정확볼 툴다 뺐어요.
네, 차 들어가면서 여기.
대신에
7시죠.
굴 빼는 동안에 병력이 좀 많이 못 깨요. 전태환이 오히려 이득 거두죠.
자 이렇게 병력 뒤쪽으로
9시 연결체 9시 연결체도 깨고요. 깼어. 방금 그리고 귀환 쓰려고 했던 거 아닌가요?
그렇죠. 쓰려고 했죠. 님 선수님 자원줄 말렸습니다.
이렇게 귀환 에너지 썼으면 걸어와요. 날아다니는데 지금 프로토스 걸어와요.
RO8 트랙 마루 아프리카 TV 프리고 스튜디오
Inception sound.
2020 GSL 시즌 3 코데스
Oh. Okay. One more spot in the round of 4.
Yeah. And whoever goes up is someone who's been there a million times before. So the round of 4 looks so stacked, and Armani.
Yeah. T-Wiper stats is going to be so fun. I think that's a tough one to call. Let's not forget TY1 this season. Hold on, interview time. Go ahead, Eddie.
All right, the last spot of the round of 4 will be occupied by one of the junior members. And this is a team kill match in a long time.
안녕하세요.
Hello, Maru.
안녕하세요.
Hello, Trap.
자, 두 분이 어떤 이야기를 하면서 오셨을지도 굉장히
So I'm
궁금하네요.
kind of curious as to what conversation they had coming here to the venue.
오랜만에 8강이거든요.
So Maru, this is your round of 8 in 2 seasons. How do you feel?
어깨가 별로 안 좋아가지고
My shoulder's still not well right now, so I have been recovering.
연습 좀 하니까 당연히 와야 될 것이라고 생각해요.
But you know, I think I practiced and I should definitely be here right now.
조성우보다는 이병렬을 만나고 싶다 하셨는데
And Maru, you
바람대로 되지
mentioned before
않았습니다.
that you wanted to
상대가
play against
결정되고
Raw, not Trap,
어떤 생각을
but that
하셨어요?
wish hasn't been granted to you. So
성호
what do you think?
형이 영호 형한테 지길 바랬거든요.
Yeah, I actually honestly
근데 성호 형이 너무
hoped
잘하길래
that Trap would lose to Rogue, but Trap was so good and he advanced.
그렇군요. 자,
That was pretty bitter.
이번에는 조성우 선수입니다.
Right,
죽음의
Trap.
조를 2위로
You made it
통과하고요.
through the group of death as the first place, and this is your round of 8, 6 consecutive times. I'm sure this round of 8 feels quite comfortable for you now.
편안하긴 한데
It definitely does feel
최근에
comfortable.
많이 져가지고
But in the recent round of 8, I lost a lot.
이기고 싶은 마음으로
So today, I really want to win.
상대가 성주다 보니까
But my opponent is Maru,
많이 어려운 경기가 될 것
which is
같아요.
definitely going to be a very
어려운 경기가 될 것
arduous
같다.
game for
온라인
sure.
대회에서 졌었다. 자신 없다 말씀을 하시지만
You always
어느
whine
순간부터
that you lost to him in the
상대
offline
전적에서
match, in the
앞서고
online
계시거든요. 왜
match.
자신감을
But
숨기시죠?
truth be told, you're actually ahead in terms of
아니,
statistics
숨기는 게 아니라
against him.
뭐 그냥 하다 보니까 이렇게 된 것
You
같아요.
know, I somehow am
자,
ahead
두 선수
in terms of
오늘
records.
세 번째 다전제 공식전입니다.
And this
GSL
is
상황에서만
a third
두번 만났었는데
best of match
그때마다
between you guys.
4대0, 4대1 일방적인 스코어가
And it was
나왔습니다.
always a one-sided
오늘
victory
스코어는
to one of the
어떨까요?
players.
먼저 조성주 선수
How will today's score
오늘도
be?
일방적인 스코어 만드셔야죠.
Any score predictions?
솔직히 저는 제가 이길 거란 생각이 안 들거든요.
To be honest, I don't think I'm gonna win today.
3대1로 이길 것 같아요.
If I do win,
이겨도
maybe a
3대2
3-2.
이렇게 이길 것 같다.
That's what Maru said.
자, 오늘 정말 복수할 수 있는 지난
Trap.
4강의 패배들을 복수할
Today
기회의
is your
기회입니다.
vengeance match
상대 전적에서도
against
앞서고
Maru.
있고 또 이번 시즌 테란에게 한 세트도 내주지
And this
않았거든요.
season, you
스코어
haven't
예상 좀
given a
해볼까요?
single set to a Terran player. What do you think,
제가
Trap?
항상 성주랑 붙을 때 인터뷰에서 말하지만 성주는 다른 테란이랑
Every time
다르거든요.
in the interview, I always mention that Maru is not
저도
the normal Terran. He's a different Terran.
모르겠어요. 그냥 만약에 이긴다면
So I'm
3대2고
not sure if
지면은
I'm gonna beat him.
일방적인 스코어를 칠 수도 있다고 생각해요.
So if I do lose, I
두
think I'm
선수
gonna lose
모두 풀세트
overwhelmingly.
접전을 생각하고 계시는데요. 자, 마지막으로 서로에게 한 마디씩
Right, before you guys
나누고
get into the
시작해
game,
보도록 하겠습니다. 자,
Anything you
먼저
want to say to each
조성주
other?
선수.
Trap first.
일단 형은 마음 편하게 왔고
Well, I came
누가
here
이기든
with a
이기는
comfortable
사람이 이번
mind.
시즌은
So whoever
우승했으면 좋겠어요.
advances, I hope
굉장히 중요한
wins
8강 경기인데
this
마음
season
편하게
GSL.
오셨다고 합니다. 조성주 선수.
Then Maru, what about you?
저도 원래 16강 때부터 마음을 비웠기 때문에
Well, from the round of
그냥
16, I emptied my mind. I'm playing. I'm gonna play comfortably, and
오늘
whoever
왜
wins here,
이렇게
hopefully
위기에
wins the
오늘 잠을 못
finals.
자가지고
네.
Well, today I'm quite
힘드네요.
sleep deprived, so
네.
I'm tired today.
자, 오늘 승리한다면 두 선수 모두 1년 만에 4강에 가게 되는데요.
And
더불어
whoever
작년에
wins
올랐던
will be
결승까지
his round of 4 in 1 year.
과연
Which
마지막
junior member
4강
will be
진출자는
able to move
누가
on to the
될지
finals and
지금
hopefully
팀킬 경기
lift us the trophy?
시작하겠습니다.
Okay, this is it. The last best of 5 in the round of 8. After this, we're going right into the round of 4. I don't know who takes this. I lean a little bit towards Maru just because he's always winning GSL, but Trap is one of the few players I think can take him down. You were mentioning earlier, Artosis, that this is a little bit hard to follow when you have two teammates that play together this much for this long because they know each other better than anybody else knows their play in the whole world.
And you know that they know.
Yeah, so there's these weird
Yeah.
mind games going on. So we may have some games that look funny, but make perfect sense if you could follow all their games in practice.
Which, of course, you can't quite do. So, I mean, we'll do our best to figure out what's going on, but there could be some things that look a bit odd that to them are making perfect sense at that moment. As far as this match goes, I don't know who ends up winning it. I've been saying, though, I think Trap and Stats right now are the two best Protoss in the world.
For sure.
And I really feel like one of them can win this season, so I wouldn't be surprised if Trap is able to take down Maru here, but like Maru is looking like he's in peak form.
Yeah, like I think Maru takes it, but if Trap takes it, it should not be a shock to anybody.
Yeah.
We don't have any players in the lobby yet. I'm not sure what's going on. But actually, I think one of our players may have requested a break.
Maybe.
No, something happened. They both went into the back room. They're coming back out now. Okay, so we're going to get into this in a little bit here.
All right, score. What's the score, Tasteless?
I think we go to Game 5. I think
Game
Maru
5?
takes
That
it.
would be nice. I would like a Game 5.
I don't think we can have a 3-0. I don't think it's possible.
It's impossible.
Correct.
The universe was formed and life was made, and here we are, casting for a living, but it's impossible that these two 3-0 each other.
Yes.
All right, I agree with that.
Yeah. Maru, you know, he's had so much success in GSL. He's been, you know, they call him the fourth race. He's one of the greatest StarCraft 2 players of all time, and in many eras, the greatest. But
he might be the greatest. He's one of the only players you can argue it about, that's for sure.
Yeah. And, you know, StarCraft 2, it's never been more competitive. So GSL, you know, with all the old top-tier players like DRG coming back and performing well, as well as new players like Armani, who didn't perform as well in the past but have improved, It's tough, but Maru's been so dominant. Trap, though, just a brilliant Protoss player, has a very different approach to the race, which I think you have to have with Protoss. You tend to not see two Protosses play alike ever.
Yeah.
The race really does, I think, allow for the most self-expression.
Yeah, he's a little bit like Stats. He's closer to Stats than other Protosses, but he's definitely got his own flair to it.
Okay, our players are in the lobby, and the game countdown has started. This is a best of 5 with Maru and Trap. The winner goes on to face Armani in the round of 4 in Season 3 of the GSL Code S. We're going to start this out on Death Aura. Let's go.
영광의 전투가 펼쳐진다. GSL을 위하여. 전투 지원이 들어왔다. 함께일 때 우린 더욱 강하다. 지리어 글린스, 마루, 조성. 지리어 글린스, 트웬, 조성.
Immediately, Maru has an SCV going to the northern point on the map. A barracks being made in his main as well. Trap sending a probe down here towards the lower left. Looks like Maru just wants to scout.
Yeah, and it looks like Maru's, Trap
Nice.
rather. Ooh, tight. It looks like Trap was kind of looking for any proxies. Of course, we know now there are not any since there's an eBay in his natural.
So this eBay blocks the placement of the Nexus, forcing probes to attack it to try to destroy it, so he can get his Nexus up a little bit later on here. In this game, Maru not going for a fast expand, but instead a quick factory teching up. The eBay's been denied, and so the Nexus will go down here as well.
Yeah, and I think he'll probably go into his command center after the factory. I'd be surprised if he goes starport on base, but down if that's what he wants.
And from here, Maru has taken a little bit of control in this game here, simply by slowing the Nexus down. I don't know what this can lead up to.
Well, the way his SCV's moving makes me think maybe a proxy starport.
Yeah, I think you're
we
right.
We might just have a Hellion drop to open up with.
Maybe, making the opponent feel the pressure of not getting the Nexus up in time and scrambling to try to get the expansion up with a quiet command center, but also a proxied starport.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. And so this way, maybe there'll be a little bit of neglect given to the main base here in defense for Trap. Again, the problem for both Artosis and I in casting these two players is that these guys are teammates. They play together so much, and so they really know the ins and outs of not just all the build orders they both like to use in the respective matchup, but also because you're teammates, one of the big advantages you have in being on a team is you get to talk and pick the brain of your teammates, and you have sort of a collective of knowledge. And so that means they both know each other's take on theory of the game. So I don't know if this is a build that's been used a lot, or if, in this case, Maru is really trying to throw Trap off. I've seen games where there's two teammates playing against each other, and one player will actually elect to do a style that really isn't that good or isn't that popular anymore at all because it's out of the meta of their training together.
Yeah.
But let's see. The drop is going to be ready. There is a Phoenix coming out, but it's going to be rallied to the bottom right. So it's not going to see this right away.
If he sends it direct, this is the best case scenario right now for Maru.
Yeah.
This is the best case scenario.
Keep in mind, a Phoenix would be handy to have to prevent one of the Hellions from being on the ground doing damage. This angling is really bad here. Oh, actually, he manages to get most of the probes away. I thought that Hellions might get one more shot.
It was a very quick pull. I feel like he should lift those up and actually dive probably into the natural, but he turns around. Okay.
Yeah, well, he might try to see what he can't get over here. Oddly enough, there's one. Hold on.
Yeah, he brought two more Hellions up from his main base. And, I mean, he is really roasting probes so far. Look at that, 13 kills.
13 kills, and I think he can get one more over here in the main. Some of these are pretty badly bruised.
You're right about that.
Oh, 13, 14 kills.
Well, 14 kills for 6 Hellions in that medevac. Definitely worth it.
Yeah, and now it's 30 workers to 26. Keep in mind, Trap got his second base up more quickly. The starport's actually headed back home, and now there's going to be a Viking here to land. And keep in mind, a lot of these probes were just attacked by the Hellions. They may be low on HP. Let's see if he can get some more kills.
Yeah, I mean,
he does.
Even high on HP, you're going to two-shot him. So,
yeah.
I mean, this is a very cool move. He lifts it up, brings the other couple home
now,
to deal with that.
There are adepts coming across the map to counterattack. The attacking units earlier on here for Maru were all thrown away in order to do some additional damage to the workers, although I don't think there's actually enough adepts here to break down Maru. So far, Maru seems to be streamlining this build perfectly.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job. Trap right now does have to play a bit of catch-up. He's behind on workers. His tech is not looking that hot. He's taking a third base right away. I think that's kind of an interesting take and not a bad one. Yeah, you know, looking at what Maru's doing, that third Nexus, it doesn't feel like that's something that's going to be punished. And that's kind of the main thing, right? Like, you want to come back in a way that you either do something like rush to splash damage, rush to damaging your opponent, or fix your own economy in some way. He's chosen to fix his own economy while lightly harassing with his Adepts and with his Phoenixes.
And I think there's a lot of good ideas at play here. I mean, he actually killed off 5 SCVs and saves the majority of the Adepts. Trap is taking a third base. The Forge, as well as the Twilight Council, are being warped in. And there have been jabs on both sides here, but I would say Maru is looking good. Trap is still completely fine in this game. It's been a back and forth for sure.
Yeah, looks like, ooh, nice lock-ons there. Getting a lot of damage on those Phoenixes, but they will all make it out.
Can the Cyclone get longer range? What do you think? We make it like 2 screens, maybe?
That would be nice.
The Cyclone can attack and hit a unit in game 2, maybe? Kills one of Armani's units in the previous best of 5, maybe? I don't know.
It turns around because of that.
Now, we have 5 more gates coming down here. Again, the Cyclones were great at chipping away, doing damage. They don't have a lot of utility later on, especially if the Terran player is going for bio, but they're serving their purpose very well. You're basically able to suicide Hellions into their bases, do damage, and at the same time, the Cyclone mutes any counterplay that's too traumatic here from the Protoss.
By the way, look at this, Tasteless. He's actually, this is a very old thing that almost no one did, which is Phoenix Charge Lot. Well, it looks like it's not going to be purely charge lot, but just the fact that he's continually making Phoenixes and going charge is kind of interesting.
I think this might actually work.
Yeah.
This is going to, the charge upgrade, I think, if timed out right, is going to finish right when Terran gets here. And Maru, by everything that we can see here, is intending to do a pretty damaging blow with this attack that's coming up here. This is before the third base has been set up. There is a command center making, but this is all supposed to streamline from the damage that Trap had endured earlier on. Probably hoping to catch him off guard as far as tech. Now, charge is about 5 seconds out, but when it's done, this is not going to be easy here for Maru to hold, and it gets right on top of that siege tank.
Oh, he actually drags the mine hit on top of the bio there as well, but is it actually enough?
Yeah, a lot of the charges went onto the siege tank, so the infantry could still kite here.
And he catches a few units there with that force field.
Beautiful
Some more zealots
play.
coming down as
He's
well.
actually taking out all the medevacs, so every time you stim, it's also permanent damage on you. Terran's retreating, a stim not to attack, but to retreat, as some of the charge lots continue to pick up and damage the remaining units.
Well, looks like that worked out, but he does sneak a mine up here to that third base.
The Phoenix barely unable to pick that up in time. 6 probes go down.
Excellent mine.
This has become a real brawl of a game.
It certainly has. Really cool and interesting to see Trap try that kind of composition. That was something briefly used by Zest and basically nobody else. Because, you know, if you don't have those overwhelming forces, suddenly Terran can roll you, but you had just enough there And, I mean, he's making a lot of charge lots right now, but he's getting that Robo too. I thought that was going to fire again.
So the very late third base from Terran is being taken. This is late because Terran tried to set up an attack early on that would be very punishing. But Trap countered that and predicted that beautifully by having the charge ready and really shut down Maru. Now, Maru still has opportunities for aggression, but his medevac count was reset. Keep in mind, it looks like Trap is probably going to take a fourth of his own pretty soon here. It seems like he's due for that. But Trap is not responding in time to this Widow Mine drop.
Oh my god, it actually does so much. He didn't even burrow the third mine. It could have been even more, but 14 probes is a gigantic connection.
But look at the Protoss counterplay on the map here. This isn't very much, and these Phoenixes can eventually kill the medevacs off, which means this is going to go all the way back to the Terran's third.
Yeah, I think Terran has enough here, though. Maru has a big army waiting at his third base, and even though he loses all of that, doesn't seem like anything much is going to happen.
I'm really starting to worry for Trap as far as these Widow Mine drops go.
Yeah, some more damage being dealt right there.
A tag there by the Oracle. And finally, that will be picked off. So as Terran is secured to third, Protoss is taking the fourth. Now, most games, the Protoss tends to be slightly ahead in expansions, at least in the current meta of PvT here. But I do wonder, can Trap take this expansion lead and try to keep it going? Because Maru's supply is actually far superior as far as army goes. Maru has more army overall.
Yeah, and I mean, Trap is trying right now to get into Colossus. And if he can get into Colossus, his army can actually have a lot of value. But when you start getting to some of these higher critical masses, charge lots are not going to do it. Like, look at this. Man, the Phoenixes are almost wasted supply. There's no way.
Yeah,
there's
he's going to
no
try to get
way.
some liftoffs over here, but this is so many stimmed units. Luckily for him, he can run away quickly. But this is going to allow the Terran to then push up to 12 o'clock and possibly take out this expansion. We see Trap trying to brace for impact, but I just see too much of everything Terran here for Maru. Good dodge there on the Widow Mines, splashing down the infantry. And yeah, this is too much. GG, Maru takes game one in our best of 5.
Well, it shows what happens if Maru gets you even a little bit in that early game. He killed 14 probes with his initial Hellions.
And I thought Trap handled most of the mid-game well as far as decision-making, but yeah, if you're put that far behind, sometimes your decisions post that don't really matter.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like, he took the third Nexus and set himself up to live through the first attack, but the way in which he lived through the first attack made each subsequent attack a lot harder to hold on against. The +1 attack, charge lots, and 5 Phoenixes don't counter a whole lot.
Yeah. Ice and Chrome from map 2. Again, Maru, I've said this before, but looking bigger, faster, stronger.
That's his way.
That is his way. The fourth race. Now, Trap, I think he's playing very well, but we're seeing why oftentimes Maru is like a wall you can't get past as far as a bracketed tournament goes. Does Trap try to cheese? Does he do something crazy? We've seen him do some unusual techs that seem to be trying to counter whatever Maru does, generally speaking, in the matchup, but it didn't work. Anyways, our game's loaded up. This is game 2 in the best of 5 of Maru versus Trap.
영광의 전투가 펼쳐진다. GSL을 위하여.
Is it going to be a quick eBay? Or is this going to be barracks in the middle of the map?
Yeah, not so sure.
I may be wrong, but I
like
believe the timing is the same on both. But yeah, this is going to be a barracks over here.
But Trap coming out to look for that. Is he going to find it right away?
This is one of the funnier things about StarCraft 2. This can be pretty confusing to the uninitiated because you'll see them scout for proxies and never find it. That's because there's a whole metagame about where you hide and where you scout.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times pros have mapped out perfectly the blind spots.
Absolutely.
Or the distance at which they'll check for proxies, where they'll check just up to this one location and go back. And the barracks is just a few centimeters away out of the probe or SCV's vision. So in this game, and this is also a pretty normal response to players who proxy a lot, is instead of trying to find the barracks, you go to the main and conclude the barracks is not there. And that way, while you don't know the location precisely of the barracks, you know it's not at home. You can check the perimeter of the Terran's base for Makaraks, but you then confirm, okay, I'm getting rushed, and you try to deal with it from there. In this case, Protoss still gets a Nexus and gets a Zealot out early on.
Factory going up at home. Of course, the Zealot will help him to push back the Reaper at least a little bit. First Reaper getting in awfully early. We'll see how many probes he gets. 2 is about average here. Micro so far.
This is really, as long as you don't lose probes, it's fine.
Yeah.
This is not easy to do, by the way. You can't turn these into extractors.
The fact that he hasn't lost any is huge. Okay, there go down 2. 2 is normal. That's like how many generally are going to be killed.
The bunker is finished behind the main here. Of course, the Reapers can heal over time, so as long as you don't lose them, nothing's going on the permanent record here. I love the mines, but he's going to get both these inside.
Annoying, but with the shield battery finishing up, he'll be able to clear this relatively quickly.
But it does prevent mining over at the expansion.
And getting in on top of that to try to pick off the SCV, the popping in and out is just a little bit of extra micro to make them miss some shots.
It's a great move having them just dive in there like that. Oh my gosh, he's going to get some more worker kills here.
Yeah, that's pretty sick actually if he does. Great micro from Trap though. Very precise worker micro that we've seen from Trap here.
Yeah, Trap's done a very good job handling this so far.
So that ended up causing some lost mining time and of course 3 probe kills. Can't really complain about what the Proxy Rex did. I think it was a reasonable one. It's kind of funny. It's like 340 is when the scout probe in the main base finally goes down. It's pretty late.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. So we've got the Twilight Council here now. Again, I think this game is extremely important for how the rest of this series is going to look, because I do think it's impossible for Trap, if he's down 0-2, to come back 3 wins in a row. I just think Maru's too consistent.
But Zest almost came back against Armani. Doesn't that mean Trap could come back against Maru?
Oh, that's some great analysis. You're right.
Yeah. You didn't think of that, did you?
Yeah, I guess if it happened with 2 totally different people, it might mean something here
but
now.
It didn't quite, but it almost did.
No, I mean, Maru's just, it's unlikely to ever see him lose 3 games in a row to anybody.
Yeah.
People take games off him, but it's not.
Well, losing 3 games in a row means that you got knocked out somewhere. So, yeah, probably not too likely in Maru's case, considering 1-4 GSLs.
Now, this is not doing that much yet, but it is interrupting worker mining.
Yeah, it's definitely annoying. Maru keeping that type of pressure on.
Just get away.
That would be too funny. Oh
it got away. I can't believe it. Well, maybe not. Oh, it gets away! This is me casting my stream of consciousness.
Well, look at
the
that.
credits start to roll.
All right, so Blink on the way. A couple more gases. Raven coming up, as well as tanks here for Maru. Looks like it's going to be Colossus tech follow-up here from Trap, which I think is a good way to do it. Maru trying to spot if he can see that 3rd Nexus. Won't see it go down, but he has a good idea that it probably is.
So behind this, we have a Raven coming, and it looks like we're going to set up for one of these pushes that's geared to go, at least idea-wise, against the type of tech that Trap appears to be going for. The Robo support bait telegraphs the Colossus tech. It's very popular to get about 2 Colossi out here. 2 is enough that they have to make some Vikings, but they, you haven't overcommitted to where you can only make Vikings and mute the power of the Colossus. But the Raven can come in and actually disable the 2 Colossus if they get a good positioning. Now, generally speaking in the meta, and this was figured out pretty quickly, Protoss would try to move out and meet the Terran's army somewhere in the middle of the map, bait out the disables, and then retreat, oftentimes using force fields to sandbag the chase.
Yeah.
And then you would be fine. But Terran players are getting very crafty at how they move around the map and what they show here.
Yeah.
So let's see what Maru's take is on this. The later tech, after you have the 2 Colossi out, is generally to get disruptors.
Yeah, that should be how this goes down. I don't think that Maru's attack is going to be very dedicated just because this is 3rd Command Center before 2nd and 3rd Barracks.
Right.
So it's just a bit smaller, bit later, one way or the other here for Maru. So I think Trap will be completely fine. I can't imagine this, I can't imagine Maru walking across the map and killing a 3rd base.
Yeah, there was a period in StarCraft 2 where this killed a lot of Protosses, but they adapted pretty quickly.
Yeah, especially a more economic opener here from Maru. He's just kind of setting up for the moment, still waiting on some upgrades, still powering up as far as his production goes.
We may have a small poke out here by the Terran. Just doing stuff like pushing the Stalkers away. Stim will finish up. Terran could take fights, although I don't think Protoss is going to do anything to engage the Terran at this point in time. Really, when Stim and Medivacs and tanks are all out here, you need to be ready for a push. And also have drops in the back of your mind as well. Be cognizant that that can come in here too. Now, since he chased those Stalkers away, I don't know. I mean, you might suspect they're being pushed, but you don't know for sure. In fact, the Zealot's going to confirm that it is.
Yeah, and he'll get out here and try to poke down that Raven. Not going to be able to quite get it right now.
Yeah, well, I think the Terran may be able to maneuver into a position that would be almost ideal. Having the tanks behind this large
That's pretty
pillar
reasonable.
here, yeah, it's quite good.
All right, Blink's forward, and he's just jumping on it. I don't know about this. Oh my gosh.
It is just Stalkers and a Zealot here, and now he can try to come in here for a kill move on those Colossus. Now, the Colossus did survive it, but reinforcements come in. I believe the tanks are just barely not actually in range. He needs to pick those up. Great control.
Oh my god.
Saves both tanks. That is absolutely insane.
Yeah, look at this, jumping forward now, picks off that Disruptor. Maru keeping that pressure on right now. Trap has kept both of his Colossi alive, which is really important. Look at this behind, though. 72 probes right now for Maru, continuing to get command centers, continuing to macro up and preparing to start 2-2.
I love that Maru saved both those tanks there. And again, you can just kite Stalkers and Zealots all day. As long as those Colossus shots are not connecting, you're probably fine.
Yeah. Probably want to back up a little bit. I don't know if he wants to continually chase that. If Maru reinforces it, he could end up losing some units.
Now Protoss is taking his 4th base here. We have Gravatic Drive about to finish here for the Warp Prisms. That'll be good if you want to try to do any micro or do drops or anything like that.
Yeah, very important upgrade nowadays. You
Yeah,
want to be able to fly over turrets and whatnot.
Pretty much always see it upgraded.
Yeah, I feel like it's the second half of this year it's finally become standard.
It makes sense. You know, generally speaking, speed upgrades are the best upgrades in the game a lot of times.
Range and speed upgrades are the most important.
Yeah, there's a general rule here. Now, catching these tanks like this is pretty handy, except that he doesn't kill any. So, doing damage, but knowing that you can still eat splash damage later on, that's a problem, man.
Yeah, nice disable right there. Forces that one Colossi far back. Good micro from Trap to save it, but loses an Archon and a Sentry right there. Maru continuing to micro so heavily. 3 tanks come up in siege in position.
Yeah, Maru is so strong with his pushes. Now, this is that Speed War Prism coming in here, and this is going to be a headache, but Terran is already putting real pressure on here. How many units can you really warp in to try and harass when you're at risk of losing your 4th base right over here?
Yeah, it is certainly very tough. Oh, that was
actually, that was fine.
Shot.
Yeah. But he does pick up. He's still going to be damaging this location, taking out Archons as well.
Yeah, it was good micro there by Maru. He ends up picking up the Disruptor. Some targeting. The siege tanks left alone will be picked off.
Good sniping of the disruptors. Now, Maru has survived the harass. He's matching the Protoss and expansions. He has, I believe, almost all of his medevacs. I don't think he really lost any this game.
Yeah, I think you're basically right about that.
And that means he's got a lot of healing. Keep in mind, Protoss shields, they do regenerate. Their HP does not. But you can take a big fight, go back and heal everything, regroup, and probably attack in. And the Protoss army is just a little bit squishier here.
He's coming back in for another attack. Not a lot of units over here. Trap a little bit out of position to deal with this, and he's bleeding a few units off immediately. Does throw out the disruption ball. The Colossi coming down. I think he will end up pushing this back.
Yeah, the Colossi positioning is really good. He does take one out. But every time Protoss tries to fight back, he's going to have to fight through a lot of splash damage.
Maru's being very efficient on these attacks, to be honest. He's whittling down a lot of very high-value units and not losing his own high-value units like those medevacs.
Yeah, he's basically reducing the complexity of the Protoss' army over and over. Oh my gosh. Run! Yeah, he's keeping, the disruptor count down or killing a Colossus here or there. And now Maru's going to try to engage once more here.
Oh, look at this attack onto the 4th base. So once again, Trap a little bit out of position, comes up, throws down one disruptor ball, does a good job there. The second one hits as well.
Oh man, this is too little too late here. Just Colossi and disruptors, 1 or 2 stalkers as well.
But some charge lots there from the north come down to help out as well. It looks like Trap's army 2 split here. The flank of the Colossus not doing a good job.
That's
GG,
it.
Maru gonna win game number 2.
Damn, Maru just powering through Trap.
Yeah. I think Trap played pretty well there.
The thing is, Maru's like an RPG character that actually maxed all his stats out. Trap's like the RPG character you have that you beat the game with, but Maru just stayed inside the game grinding until his character could one-hit every unit in the game.
It's no fun.
It's like not even fun anymore. It's like, why do you do that? Is this like a pathology or something? You're just going to sit there and get this thing to 99? Well, okay, level 99. Why? Well, he's done it. His character is OP.
Certainly seems that way.
Every attack he does, it's critical hits. It deals stun and lightning damage.
Wow,
yeah.
Stun and lightning? I thought those were the same.
No, stun slows you down, and lightning, that's what Trap is weak to, right? So,
okay.
Let's see what he can do. This is game 3, Pillars of Gold. Trap needs a comeback, or Maru is going on to the round of 4 to face off against Armani in the GSL.
영광의 전투가 펼쳐진다. GSL을 위하여. 지리어 그리스 마루 조성. 지리어 그리스 트레 조성.
I think the problem that game was Trap got a bit outmaneuvered at his 3rd base from the first big attack.
Yeah.
He got out of position a couple times, and then when he decided, I don't want to say finally because he did it so quickly, he decided to jump upon the army with that flank that had stalkers on one side. That wasn't the best engage. He lost a bit more than he really could afford there, and as soon as you do that against Maru, he just is going to grind you down.
That is the challenge, I think, with fighting Maru. Strategically, his openers, by the way, he's going to do the eBay block here this time. His openers are very sound, but the larger issue that I think people have to deal with Maru is that he's just mechanically so gifted at all these fights. When you're fighting against Stim and a player with medevacs, you really can't make mistakes because, if you take a fight poorly and then you're trying to run away, he gets to Stim, stutter step you down. Or if, you win a fight, if he wins a fight somewhere and the Protoss is out of position, he can pick up and fly into the main and do damage. really it's all about the Protoss trying to hold everything off, assuming you're going to play defensive tech play. You really have to hold everything off with grace.
Yeah, very true.
And also, one thing that I noticed in that game especially was how quick Maru was to unsiege and get a better position with his tanks.
Oh, yeah.
There was a position where his tanks are being hit, and then Protoss is running away. We're seeing the stemmed units stutter stepping and shooting down those units, and then at the bottom of the screen, the tanks reappear there faster than I actually expected them to. Now they're in a position where you can continue to pelt the Protoss at a distance. It's a threat to their expansion. And so this game, we're going to have a Stargate coming up here.
All right.
But again, right now we've pretty much had games where both players have tried to tech into late game positions, but both times Maru just overpowers his opponent.
Well, you do have to be as efficient as you can be, especially on Robo Light. Like the second Robo, I think, was quite late for Trap, if I'm not mistaken there. He was making like one Disruptor at a time, one Colossus at a time for a while. Maybe he wants to try to get a second Robo a little bit quicker like some of our other Protoss players have been doing. If not, though, he definitely does have to get a bit more efficient. Look at that. Look at that. It's like 2 Adepts, no problem. I'll just micro this perfectly and kill them and then repair.
Okay. So we've got the Phoenix coming now. Again, the Hellions will be moving out on the map here. Looks like Maru's going to try to put some pressure on here too. With a medevac here too, you can do a drop. I'm worried for Trap. The thing is, Trap's actually playing very well.
Yeah.
Like, he's really at like 98%. But it's just not quite enough.
Well, Maru's going to force mistakes out of pretty much everybody in the world. It's just kind of how it goes.
So the medevac is going to move over here, but he already lost one Hellion. He probably should not have poked there.
Oh, this could be huge. Okay, he sees the medevac.
And this
so
is
that's
right,
gigantic.
This is right as the boost finishes. So now the medevac is just going to be killed off here. There's nothing you can do. But the Hellions will come into the front anyways.
You say nothing, but I think you mean something that you can do.
Something that you can do.
It's going to take a little bit to try to shoot through shield battery energy.
Yeah, not able to kill anywhere near the number of workers, even as another Hellion comes up here.
Well, if he didn't have that shield battery,
so
that would have been like 12 probes dead.
Yeah, so this is the first moment that Maru in the early game has traded inefficiently, but Maru's not done yet. Maru has another medevac flying across the map, and oftentimes we will see that the third drop from Maru is the most damaging. Let's see how much damage this one does here. I think the Phoenixes are now going to go across the map to try to do harass of their own. This is an ideal moment for Maru to come in and try to kill off as many workers as he possibly can.
Oh, this drop right now, though. Mines going into that main base. Good pull from Trap.
Yeah.
Not going to lose that much.
It's a little bit annoying for him because he...
Wait.
Easy. I was going to say, normally you want to set off the mines first. This is actually being handled terribly here by Trap. It looked like he had the opportunity to do a perfect play there.
Yeah.
And it actually fell apart.
Yeah, he kind of... It looked like he fat-fingered it, you know?
Yeah.
Where it's just like, you do like one misclick and then you realize that it's wrong and all your other stuff's already coming. You're like, oh no, this is not good. Well, that was definitely sloppy. We have Colossus Tech on the way, that third Nexus finishing up. Another mine drop going into the natural.
Yeah, all 4 mines are going to come down over here. Oh! Okay, nice hold. That was much better. You want, it sounds weird, but you do want at least 1 probe to get killed with each drop because you need to bait out the shot so that the Phoenixes can then come in and do the pickups and kill the mines off. That's what went wrong in the first drop there with the Widow Mines. I love the Observer here. He's going to spot this. This can allow him to preempt the drop. But again, he keeps trying to fly across the map with his Phoenixes.
Yeah, it's true. Well, the thing is, Maru's the only player in the world that plays like this, too.
Yeah.
Where he just keeps doing the drops. You think they're over, but they're absolutely not. We've seen Maru send like 7 medevacs full of mines in certain games in the past. It's, like, I'm not even joking. There was this one game against Myungshik in Heart of the Swarm, and it was endless. It literally just went on for like 10 minutes straight of mine drops.
And this is what we're seeing Maru do this game, is just continuously throw mines. And keep in mind, you can lose money if you don't trade efficiently here.
Mines are not that expensive, though, and they're a little bit more gas-heavy, which helps Terran to use up a resource they don't use quite as much.
Very true, but losing medevacs over and over in a game where you know eventually you're going to have to push, that's an issue as well. And so it's interesting to see him do this, but it seems even against Trap, his teammate, who should know his playstyle very well, it's working. Here we are again with Phoenixes not in position to defend.
Well, honestly, even this one, I thought it was over.
Yeah.
So, I get it, right? Like, that has now been 16 mines sent to their death and 3 medevacs.
Behind this, Terran has taken a third. I don't really know what kind of army Terran has. I guess we're getting a shot of it now. So enough to hold off Colossi if he pushed.
It's a very small army for Trap.
1-1 about to finish along with combat shields. There's no way I think that Trap can attack this and make it work, but maybe. I don't know. You know, there's just 2 tanks here. Maybe he can get a pickup with some Phoenixes.
Well, nice pick off there.
It would seem like if you're making Widow Mines the whole time that are suiciding into their base, they're going to be lacking something back at home, right?
Of course, yeah. You can't just do everything. But I think that Maru's army is still big enough that he can't really die here.
Well, he doesn't quite have a lot of anti-air. It's why that turret finishing is really important. 3 Marines will not cut it. We now have 3 Colossi here. Now, I don't know the fine math on this exactly, but yeah, it would seem like if you're just getting Widow Mines and just suiciding there, and the Protoss is not losing Phoenixes or any other attacking units, maybe a Stalker here or there should be some room for a counterattack, right?
Well, I totally see what you're saying, but because Trap is going for a Colossus-based army, and he has Phoenixes with that, you can see that Maru overproduced Marauders in comparison to Marines. If those were all Marines...
Yeah, he would melt it.
Yeah, he would just... I mean, he'd walk in and do some lasers, and that would be it. But the Marauders can take a much bigger beating and actually fight Colossi. Good micro there from Trap. Maru actually trading pretty inefficiently there for a moment. He's going to turn around for now. But Maru's got his full production going now.
Okay, good pickups on the tanks here. It's just Marauders. Is there enough on the ground here for Protoss? Again, the Marauders are pretty tanky. They can chew through the attacks here on the Colossi, targeting down each of these. The Warp Prism control is good. Is it enough, though? If he loses the Colossus, it's going to be disastrous.
Yeah, it's a good micro for sure.
Okay, that was about as good as you could ever ask for as far as control goes. I don't know if it's enough.
Well,
I mean,
that favored Maru, I think.
Yeah, I agree. But he did only lose 1 Colossus.
Yeah, it's amazing that he kept that much alive.
That was insane control.
Yeah, ridiculously well done.
Again, though, one of those Colossi is so low on HP, I think it's just a few Marauder shots and it's going to explode.
Well, he's still kind of walking around, seeing what he can get done. He does have a good amount of charge lots in here, which do very well against heavy Marauder play. That CC actually doing a lot of work in the center, sucking up the charges of a lot of those Zealots, making it hard to get in on top of this Bio army. Now this is getting scary from Trap. I like this army that he's made. It's very good against Marauders. Let's see if he can get in there.
Damn, really good attack here by Trap. These Zealots doing an excellent job. There's just not much left over here. Infantry, I'm sorry, it's a few bits of infantry coming down here, but it's mostly workers defending. Archons with no shields remaining here, but workers are getting mowed down again. Saving that second Colossus was huge.
Absolutely. And you know what? I mean, the Archon's doing a great job in there against the Marauders as well. Making a bunch of units that do well against those Marauders, where you want Marines, makes it very tough to engage this.
He's actually picked off the Warp Prism, but the Warpins did manage to come. I think Trap could try to fill in this army again here. He's got another Warp Prism. He might actually have enough to attack in. I guess he knows better. He's going to back off. But a lot of workers killed there. It's 50 SCVs for Maru, 71 probes here for Trap, with Trap up an additional base.
Yeah, the fact that Trap got his 4th up during all of that is really, really important, because now he's utilizing these 71 probes so well. He can just, I mean, macro so heavily at this moment. How can Maru put on a counterattack? I think he has to stay in a defensive stance.
I think you're probably right. I also like the fact that Trap is leaning in a little bit here. He's going to come out again, making it uncomfortable. Now, Maru might counterattack, but then I guess you could just get pushed and killed, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
you can kill him right here. This is
here.
not enough to hold this at all, not even close. You see Maru immediately running away with everything that can run.
Yeah.
And this base is lost.
The Ghost Academy's in this area as well. That can be picked off here too. Here's that other Warp Prism. Now this is going to allow him to continue to reinforce.
Yeah, I think Maru's going to have to try to flank this, but it doesn't seem that likely to work. That is such a beefy army from Trap right now.
Yeah, well, it's also an odd position for Maru. He has a small amount of Marauders that can't really meet up with the group. The third base is being lifted off.
You know, maybe with some clutch EMPs, he can actually end up clearing this. Brings his SCVs into fight as well. Where's his flank? Okay, the unit's coming up from behind. Vikings doing their jobs right now. The Prism goes way back for another warp in as well.
Yeah, now the Colossi have been picked off, but I mean, at this point in time, I think you can win the game without the Colossi.
Yes. Colossi no longer really matter in this situation, I think. You know, he can just make a hell of a lot of gateway units. He's got his second robo up. Start making those disruptors. Maru barely holding on. He's at less than half the workers.
Okay. Again, Trap continuing to grow. Right now, Maru is so close to being killed off in this game.
Right, nice
Great
EMP.
EMPs. Hey, he shaved off those Archons. That's pretty good. The problem is that actually there's so many Stalkers and Zealots. There's more than there is infantry. Rarely does that ever a winning factor in a fight like this, but it counts. Especially now that he's rebuilt it with a few more Archons. He still has that Colossus doing the splash damage. Even though Marauders counter Colossi, if the number gets that low, there's nothing you can do. This fight has to be won here by Terran, and I just don't think the math is there. GG! Trap takes game 3. Thank God. I did not want a 3-0 there.
I know, right?
But I'll tell you what, man, Maru made Trap work for that win.
He certainly did. I think Maru made great moves, and like all the mine drops, like you were saying, he made so many of them. There has to be some sort of way in, and you saw that Maru was initially countering it with heavy Marauder, but then Trap just made a bunch of units that are good against Marauders. Really tried to push that advantage, and honestly, Maru was pretty close to deflecting everything, and then it just got a little bit out of hand for him.
Yeah, that was one of the games where Trap took every fight basically perfectly and then closed in. And once he won that fight on the third, there's nothing you can do.
That's right. Just too much damage has
also,
been taken.
Ghost Academy there too. At the third, that's an unfortunate location for that structure. Quick break, guys. When we come back, game 4 in this best of 5.
Simple. Now all we do is turn nothing into rain, and I've been acting all insane. I feel you bringing out the worst inside of me. Oh na na, oh you're good with lies. Oh na na, wish I wasn't right. Whoa. Yeah. think about it, 'cause I'm dying, baby. If you want it, you just have to take it. If you feel something, but you gotta tell me. Yeah, yeah. I don't know why it's stuck in me. I like but how you taste. Give me the signs, I'll take the step for you. You know I like you, baby. You know I want you to take the control. I'm like, alright, baby. Alright, alright. You know I like you, baby. You know I want you to take the control. I'm like, alright, baby. Alright, alright,
Yeah. 상큼한 복숭아가 사이다를 더 청량하게. 새로움을 마시다.
실성사이다.
울트라 기어로 부드럽게 이긴다. LG 울트라 기어 게이밍 모니터. 울트라 기어로 선명하게 이긴다. LG 울트라 기어 게이밍 모니터.
잡아 킬 림님 힐 그렇지 나 힐. 이점 쓰리끈 온다 잡아 바닥 바로
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
고고 핫식스.
성능을 언제 어디서나 가볍게 즐기다. 지포스 GTX 1650 그래픽 최신 인텔 10세대 프로세서 탑재. 고성능 노트북의 새로운 기준 LG 울트라 기어.
디자인을 하면서 가장 중요하게 생각했던 부분은 울트라 기어의 차별화된 브랜드 메시지를 잘 나타내는 것입니다. 신과 영웅들의 최강의 무기들을 검토하였습니다. 그중 니케의 승리의 날개를 모티브로 지금의 울트라 기어의 로고가 탄생하게 되었습니다. 울트라 기어의 이니셜인 U와 G를 비상하는 날개의 형상으로 레드 색상을 사용하여 강력한 에너지와 힘을 나타내었습니다. 울트라 기어는 최상의 퍼포먼스로 진정한 게임의 즐거움, 승리의 기쁨을 여러분께 선사할 것입니다.
RO8, 12, Maru.
We're back at the GSL Codes, and we are in the middle of the final best of 5 here in the round of 8. Either Trap or Maru moves on. Now, Maru won the first 2 games, looking basically untouchable, but Trap, I think in a really good series of fights, came back in Game 3 on Pillars of Gold. So he's got 1 win, he needs 2 more. Maru, of course, just needs 1 more victory to advance. We're gonna go to the map Everdream for Game 4.
All right, I hope Trap can do it and bring us that Game 5 because it's Eternal Empire. That would be sick.
All right, our game is loaded up, guys. Let's continue the series of Maru versus Trap.
영광의 전투가 펼쳐진다. GSL을 위하여.
Okay. It's going to be a barracks. Just waiting to see if it's going to be an eBay first or a barracks. Now this, even in the hidden placement, mirrors what we already saw in one of our games. Is it going to be the exact same build, though?
The pro going in the wrong direction? I don't know.
By the way, one thing I want to just remark on real quick here is that out of all the things that teammates know each other in and out on, scouting for proxies is going to be the most known thing.
You think so? No?
Yeah. They've got to share this stuff so much, but, you know, there's a chance that right now the way that Trap's looking, because he is checking for proxies, but he's checked on the wrong side.
Yeah.
And I think what Maru's done, this sounds weird, guys, but stay with me, is that you're actually hiding it in a stupid location because a good player can't look there.
Yeah, it's kind of like so close in an obvious spot that they are kind of, in a way, more likely to look there. But I think that that helps Maru as well, because if he does get scouted right away, he can actually just cancel more quickly, you know?
Yeah.
If you have to cancel at the end of it, that's where it gets really dirty.
Yeah, it's like at 95%. The SCV is now coming into the main. This is a Reaper build. There is a factory being made here inside the main. And this is making me think about game 2. Where, you know, Maru came out with a very strong push on 2 bases. He did try to come in there and do some damage early on as well. Oh, whoa!
Starts a second gate and then cancels.
Did not have a good read on the situation.
Huh.
And this is really annoying right now. Let's see if he can actually get any probe kills. It's really hard for the Protoss to not lose a probe.
Yeah.
You can't turn them into spores or anything like a kind of Zerg, so.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's normally about 2.
Can he get 3, though?
Yeah, I think he will. He'll even get 4. Wow.
Wow.
4 is really good.
Yeah, 4 is pretty tremendous.
When they make a
early
Zealot
on.
and you get 4, that's pretty sick.
Yeah. And he's still got another Reaper here. I don't see any probes to kill on this part of the map, but he is keeping pressure on here. If Protoss decides to leave with the Stalker, which he is going to do, maybe the Reaper can come in there and do a little bit more damage. I don't know.
I don't know the Stalker's going to be able to do anything, but yeah, the Reaper might be able to get back up. Does kind of see the Stalker as it's moving across. Looks like Trap going to send all of his units while making a Nexus.
He's tracking the Stalker pretty well there. The Tech Lab finishes over here onto the factory.
You know, maybe if there was like a low ground command, there something could be done. But I think as he gets up there, yeah, he's going to turn around. Honestly, there's not that much to be done.
I think you're completely correct, Artosis. If there's a low ground command center, then you can try to kill the SCV. You know, the Reapers, they can chuck grenades and try to do some fancy maneuvering, but a Stalker will beat a Reaper if they have to fight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Reaper is basically good at attacking the Protoss early because it can just outrun the Stalker. But in this case, Maru, with, I think, very intelligent, conservative play, makes the CC in his main and actually makes the 3rd CC in his main as well.
Yeah,
keep in mind,
like that today.
Protoss can't scout what's inside the base. All he sees is that there's nothing at the natural. So, again, there's a degree of ambiguity as far as what's really happening on the Terran side of the map. A pretty aggressive opening has actually transitioned into a very defensive econ play.
Oh man, this Zealot looks like it's going to get picked off. Trying to get some sort of scouting intel, but like you said, very hard to see. And like I do quite like this position for Maru so far. I think he's done a very good job. He did good harassment with the Reaper. The fact that he has 3 commands right now and can gear up for like a really powerful push is quite nice. But look, this is, I think, in my opinion, one of the better ways to go for a gateway-centric style is if you go quick Stargate and you go into 3 Nexus very quickly off very few units. This is a way where you might actually be able to get away with making a lot of gateway units, beating a push, and then being ahead.
Yeah, I like what we're seeing here from Trap, and I think it's going to match what he's up against here pretty well. Here's that Reaper from earlier. Again, the Reaper doesn't have a lot of utility later on, so it's a good idea to try to use it to scout. Damn, Maru. All right.
Yeah, he just knows it. He knows things. And he sees the Oracle and the Void Ray.
He perfectly bounces the Reaper, the Stalker as it finishes warping in, while the Reaper was at 1 hit away, just to get inside and confirm what's going on. And that's a pretty big disadvantage here for Trap. Trap wants to try to play the same game that Maru's already succeeded in doing, in that he's going to try, he wants to keep scouting from happening.
Second Void.
Oh, I wasn't even looking at that. Good
Void
catch,
and
Artosis.
Glaives. So we have seen, I believe it was Zaun who went for, excuse me, Void Rays to bust the bunker and then shading in on top of everything.
I call this Void Glaives.
Void Glaives.
Yes.
Sounds like a bad superhero name.
Mm-hmm.
Or super villain, maybe.
Yeah. In this case, definitely a superhero, Void Void Glaives. So this is very cool, and I'm glad you mentioned the Zhaon build we saw from before. I think right now the game plan here is to try to have some unusual openings here that might catch Maru off. I mean, keep in mind, you're always a little bit vulnerable if you're getting 3 CCs right away. There's not a lot you can do as far as aggression. If you are being aggressive, you could be punished. But there's also specific builds you can do to try to come in and pierce the defenses that the Terran has. But this is that build we saw before. Does he just stay put, or does he push with this at all?
With?
No, he wouldn't push with this, excuse me. I was thinking of game 2, but I forgot. He got the 3rd CC later in game 2.
Yeah, if you get the 3rd CC, you got to sit a little bit longer. You know, your upgrades are about halfway, and you're trying to add your more barracks at that point. But yeah, I'm not sure what Trap is doing with these glaives. Like, I thought it might be that bunker buster, but this is like a 3-base build, and he's got a very middle amount of units. I'm not exactly sure what the plan is here. Like, is this weird amount of adept supposed to do something?
I don't know. I mean, he's going to have to make it work. The War Prism's going to come out. That always, in a game like this, signals the push inbound. But, you know, Terran seems to want to push too. Now, this means somebody's wrong.
And
he only showed a chunk of his army, though.
It's Maru that's wrong, I'm pretty sure.
I think so. I think there's never a game where you both just attack into the middle of the map and fight each other. That's not.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
Oh my gosh! And look at this. The Void Ray is getting on top of everything. Oh, and he actually does the shade through, but wait, no, it was Trap that was wrong.
Yeah, this is not a thing. GG. Okay.
Yeah, that. Okay, so what? Trap's build there really.
You know what happened there?
It seemed like garbage. And then I was like, no, I mean, I guess it should be able to do something if Trap did it, but no, tasteless. It didn't do anything.
It's one of those things where one of the best players is doing something different, and it fools us all. I go, oh, yeah. No, that, of course.
It's like, well, if you're getting multiple Void Rays and Glaives, that has to be a quick attack.
Yeah,
and he's like, no, watch this. And then he's like, now I have less than a 2-base attack would make, and I'm going on 3
I've got a great position, but these units are just better than mine anyways, so
yeah, that was weird.
We have an interview now where we're going to see how Maru's feeling. He's the last player to get on to the round of 4 here in the final season of the GSL.
완벽한 전술과
wow, what a performance by Maru. Maru beats Trap, and he's the last member to join the round of 4.
조성주 선수 만나보겠습니다. 축하드립니다.
Congratulations. Thank you.
네, 우선 2019년 GSL 시즌 3 이후 1년 만에
After
상황인데요.
2019 season 3, this is your round of 4 in 1 year. How do you feel? Well, I came here with an empty mind, but I'm really happy to have won. And I'm really happy to have moved on to the round of 4.
음흉하신 것 같아요. 사전 인터뷰에서는 그렇게
Maru,
일관되게 자신 없었더니
in the prior interview, you said that you had no confidence. But as soon as you started in the match, you went for the Widowmine drops. So why couldn't you be honest with your interview?
첫 판이 제일 중요하다고 생각해서.
I believe that the first game is the most important.
지면 질 것 같아서.
So I had to put a strong emphasis on the game.
왜 인터뷰 때 진실되지
So what I'm asking you is why couldn't you be more candid in the interview?
진심이었는데.
Well, I was very honest in my interview. I hope my fans can
오늘
trust
경기
me.
굉장히 전반적으로 공격적이었습니다.
You were very aggressive overall in today's match.
컨트롤 싸움을 걸었던 배경은 무엇이었을까요?
You were very
제가
good with the micro as well.
연습은 많이 안 하고.
Well, I didn't practice too much.
얘기를 많이 했는데.
I talked with Byun quite a bit.
이게 좋다더라고요, 계속.
And Byun actually told me these strategies are good.
그냥 현웅이 때문에 이긴 것 같아요.
So I faced
오늘
Byun,
보여주신
and that's why I used it.
컨트롤 싸움 죄송한 말씀이지만 어깨가 아프신 선수 같지가
And
않아
it felt like
보였어요.
you weren't suffering from the shoulder injury at all with your micro.
저그전에서
I mean, yes, in the TVP, my shoulders have less burden, but you know,
확실히
against the
종족별
Zerg,
탑급 선수들이어서
there's more
그런지
heavier burden.
오늘은 정말 눈이 즐거운 경기들이
We
많았던 것
got to see some
같습니다.
fantastic
자,
games
이제
today.
조성주 선수 마지막 4강
And
진출자가
Maru,
됐고
you are the last
이제
one joining the round of 4,
아프리카 프릭스
and your
박진혁
opponent
선수가
will be
됐습니다.
Armani.
박진혁 선수의 4강 진출 혹시
So
예상하셨습니까?
did you expect Armani to move on?
솔직히 못했어요. 그냥.
Honestly speaking, no.
만약에 성호 형 이겨도 다음 상대 토스라서 그냥
Even if I beat Trap, I was thinking that my next opponent will be Zest, who's a Protoss. but it was actually
설레요. 어떤
Armani. So I'm
의미인가요?
really happy.
테프전은 테란이 힘든데.
You know, for a
테전은
TVP, the
테란이
Terrans are
괜찮은
always
것 같아서
weaker.
할만할 것 같아요.
But TVZ, I think I have a good
결승까지 사실
chance
한 걸음
of winning.
남았습니다. 많은
You're
분들이
one step away from the finals.
GSL 5회
And a lot of
우승
the fans are
대기록에
having high
대해서도 많이
expectations
예상하고
on whether you
계시는데요.
can achieve the G5L
조성주
this
선수가
season.
현재 박진혁 선수에게 압도적으로 상대 전적에서 앞서고 있고
And against
또
Armani, you have a
반대편에
very
있는 전태양,
strong
김대엽
head-to-head
선수도
record
사실
against him.
결승에서 모두 이겼던 상대였잖아요. 이런 분위기를 봤을 때 G5에
So
진이
looking
많이
at this
나시나요?
flow, do you think G5L will be realized this season? Well, I'm not too sure because stats is so good.
무겁긴 한데.
I'm really scared of him.
그래도 제가 준비만 잘하면은.
But if I make
이길
thorough
것
preparation,
같은데.
I think I can
네,
beat everyone.
그렇다면 지금이 GSL 5회 우승할 수 있는 그 적기라는
Well,
데에는 본인도
Then
자신이
do you
있으신
think this
거예요?
is the right time for your
저는 항상
G5L?
자신 있었는데.
Well, I've always had confidence,
제 몸이 안 따라주더라고요.
but my body just
그래서
wouldn't
이번에는
follow.
할 수 있을 것 같아요.
But this time, I think I can achieve
과연
it.
그
It is feasible.
G5의 대기록을 이룰 수 있을지
Then will Maru be able to
사전부터
achieve his
계속해서
G5L this
지켜보도록
season?
하겠습니다.
We will look forward to
마지막으로
that.
한마디 해주시죠.
And before you go, Maru, anything you want to say?
진짜 오랜만에 4강 온 것 같은데.
Well, this is round of 4. It's such a long time.
결승까지 한 걸음 나온 만큼
I'm only one step away.
열심히 준비해서.
I'm gonna try my best and try to win.
네, 다시 한번 1년 만에 4강
Once again,
진출
congratulations,
축하드립니다.
Maru. Thank you.
자,
All
이렇게
right.
이번 시즌 마지막
The round
진출자
of 4
진에어
is
선수
set.
선수 만나봤는데요.
And this is
이로써
going to be fun.
완성된 4강 대진
I
확인해
think
보시죠.
the TY versus Stats match, that's hard to call.
Yeah.
That could go either way. This is best of 7, by the way, for round of 4. And then Armani versus Maru. Look, Armani's the underdog, but this already happened with Armani versus Zest. Armani wasn't even supposed to get out of the round of 16. I like a good underdog story.
Yeah, it is a good one. If he beats Maru, that is something else, and he can take it down. But honestly, Maru is in top form and might win his 5th championship this season. We'll see. So our match 1, we want to remind you guys, or maybe inform you for the first time. I don't know what we've said during this broadcast, but 5 p.m. instead of 6:30. So an hour and a half earlier than is normal.
That's right.
On our Wednesday night broadcast.
We have, we're trying to sync our schedules here with DreamHack so that the StarCraft that's going on is not overlapping.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be starting, if you tune in live and only know, what that time zone is for you, it's just an hour and a half earlier than when we normally start GSLs on Wednesdays.
That's right. And then Saturday, 1 week from today, Armani versus Maru to see who else will be going to the finals. Definitely Maru favored there. No matter what you look at here as far as possible finals, it's going to be amazing.
As a reminder as well, the YouTube channel you're watching this on live is also the same channel that the ASL is playing on. So tune in tomorrow night at 7 p.m. KST as we continue the round of 8 for the ASL.
Yeah,
Flash
it's going to be
playing random.
Flash is random in the round of 8 against Rush, the last Terran player in the tournament. So 2 very exciting things there. The winner gets seeded into next season. So that's gigantic. Wow. That's going to be amazing. I'm sure a ton of people are going to tune in for that. So definitely check it out.
We've still got a ton of StarCraft this month here. It's been so many good games, too. It's been really fun to cast. Again, guys, it's the last GSL Code S season of the year. We do have more Code S for next year, but all 4 of these players, I guess all 3, Armani, I think it's unlikely that he moves on, but it's an interesting narrative, and I would be super delighted to see him get to the finals, especially hearing his speech about how he has dreamed of being on a final stage before here at GSL.
Yeah.
But no matter what, I mean, the champion's going to be crazy good. Stats or TY or Maru, and maybe Armani in a dream situation.
By the way, this second half of the year or so, we've had this new storyline, right? Jin Air has always been the dominant team.
Yeah.
But Afrika Freaks, they've redone their roster, and they're killing it as well. So it's basically, at this point, for last season and now this one as well, the top of the tournament is dominated by Afrika Freaks and Jin Air Green Wings.
Yeah.
So it almost feels like maybe
a little
there's
bit of
another
a rivalry
team
there.
rivalry coming in.
Yeah, I never expected us to have a team that would be in our tournament that would compare to Jin Air, but yeah, you're right. The results are pointing to the fact that the Afrika Freaks, which is a multi-esport sponsor as well, but doing very well in StarCraft 2 here.
Yeah, they definitely picked up the very best players that weren't on Jin Air. So very exciting times. Make sure you tune in for all that. Flash versus Rush tomorrow, I think,
It's going to be so cool.
That's the exciting thing of the week, as if everything else
He
wasn't
may
exciting
win
enough.
ASL playing random. Keep in mind, StarCraft 2 is a little bit more than twice as old as StarCraft. I'm sorry, StarCraft 1 is a little bit more than twice as old as StarCraft too, but we're now at the point where there's a player who can play random and maybe win a tournament. I don't care if you're a diehard StarCraft 2 fan. That's still an exciting narrative, and it's also something to look forward to possibly in the future of StarCraft 2 as well.
Yeah, I think it might be harder to do in StarCraft 2, all the 2-player maps and everything. And
sure.
Yeah, the precision of some of the builds. But, hey, man, never thought I'd see it in StarCraft 1 either.
Guys, that's all the time we have. Thank you for joining us. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. KST. Have a good morning, afternoon, or night, wherever you are.